Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
What up, everybody? BT Unleashed on a No Rules Friday. Let's go. Crank up the calls, crank up the chat. What a wild night last night. Knicks have a lot of problems here, guys. Knicks have a lot of issues, things we worried about all year, outside of maybe some of you delusional Knicks fans who told me all year you're being too hard on the Knicks. Knicks are ready. Knicks very well might lose this series. I mean, if the Knicks lose in the first round to the Hawks, who are running circles around them, whether it's Quinn Snyder against Mike Brown, whether it's their interior players doing what they want, whether it's McCollum doing what he wants at the end of games. Last night was an absolute unmitigated disaster for the Knicks here. Because, guys, think about this. Like, all right, yeah, I don't need a sweep here, right? Pistons lost the first game to the Magic. Celtics lost the game to the Sixers. So I don't need a sweep. But when you lose a game in the playoffs, right, I'm kind of interested to see what you do the next game, like early in the game. What did you learn? What are the adjustments here? What did the Knicks do? What did they adjust to? What did they learn? They learned nothing. They adjusted to nothing. Knicks were losing by almost 20 in the first half. Really just an awful game. And another painful reminder that everything that we, at least most of us, rooted in the reality of what these Knicks truly have been all year, because they've shown us these inconsistent signs all year, So those of us who have been worried about this stuff, last night, just another painful reminder that, even if they do find a way to scrape this together and get by the Hawks in round one, Knicks aren't winning a damn thing. Obviously, the NFL draft, we'll get to that. Yankees pitching has been phenomenal. All right, 2 in a row for the Mets. We got a No Rules Friday, as I said. All right, so let's jump into it. Today's show, J-Rod, as everybody knows, brought to you by Sullivan Papain, of course. And you can find Sullivan online at triallaw1.com. That's triallaw1.com. Remember the name Sullivan Papain, and by Premio Sausage. Premio, the way sausage should be. Find them at premiofoods.com or in your local grocery store. Mikal Bridges is a dog. I mean, there's just no other way to put this. He's just weak, man. He's just like, I can't watch this guy play much anymore. You look at the last couple of quarters of basketball for Mikal Bridges, he's literally been a complete zero. No points last night. No points. He had a plus minus of minus 26, not in 38 minutes or 40, minus 21, pardon me, minus 26 in 21 minutes. Josh Hart was not good. We love Josh, but he wasn't good. Missed a key 3 as well. 1 for 9. Knicks were really sloppy with the ball, inability to get a look at the final possession there, and they didn't get stops when they needed it. And, like, where is this thing going? Like, I want somebody to tell me, whether it's a call, whether it's a chat, and you better bring a very compelling case, because I just don't see any evidence that the Knicks are going to suddenly, fix and tweak. And I'm not saying they won't win another game. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not even saying that they won't win the first round. I'm definitely nervous. Like, if you're a Knicks fan waking up today saying, well, all right, they're down a couple of games here, but, they'll come back, they'll win Saturday, handle business at the Garden, and you're just rolling on this confidence, which to me is not really rooted in the reality of what they are as a basketball team, you are going to be sorely disappointed very soon. Because to me, like, the one thing that I've always said about this team, right, and we know what they do well, and we know what they don't do well, but my greatest concern about the Knicks was, and this is all under the scope of winning a championship. That's it. That's the evaluation. When you make the moves that they made, when you've been together as long as they've now been together as a core. Brunson's been here a couple of years. It's not year 1 for Cat. It's not year 1 for Bridges. Hart's been here for a couple of years. Mitch has been part of the Knicks organization for a while. I know they brought in some bench pieces, but, a lot of these teams kind of, even championship teams kind of, flip a few spots in the offseason, bring in a shooter, bring in a backup big, bring in a 3-and-D guy. Like, the lack of continuity for the Knicks is incredibly alarming. And like the lack of cohesion with one another at this point is just utterly unacceptable. And no other way to put it. I mean, you look at their final possessions. Nobody knows what the hell to do. The other night, you got Mike Brown yelling, "Hey, Cat, come set the screen." Cat's in the corner. And Cat played well. I got no problem with Cat, really, except that they should have gotten him more shots. But the other night, Cat's pinched in the corner, and you see Brown, imploring him, "Go set the screen. Go set the screen." Like, shouldn't we know when to set the screen at this point? And then that final possession, again, he goes to set a screen. The screen's not there. They don't get a shot. They turn it over. 15 turnovers. It's not going to get it done. And we could talk about the nuances of the game. We could certainly do that. But to me, it just remains big picture about these New York Knicks. And there's just the on-court connectivity is simply not where it needs to be to win a championship. I mean, let alone, breeze past the first round, rest up, and get ready for what's going to be a tough round. Like, we always talk about the 90s Knicks, right? 90s Knicks, Pat, Oak, Ewing, Mason, Riley, all the Starks, of course, right? And the one thing about those teams, even though they fell short, obviously, in 94 and, of course, later on in 99, which was a different team with Spree and Allen Houston, and that's what Larry Johnson, right? But those Knick teams, they handled business in the first round. You go back to like the early 90s and then obviously into 94, they would sweep the Cavs or they would sweep the Nets or they would smack the Hornets or like they would just handle business. Like that was a team that even though they fell short because they just didn't have the horses, nobody was good enough really to just play second fiddle as the second star to Patrick Ewing. That's why Pat never won. Not that Pat was perfect, but Pat never had that second star like some of the other champions across the NBA universe. But those teams were ready to go. They didn't mess around. They didn't lose games that they weren't supposed to lose. And here we are, even going back to last year, like that Pistons series was unnecessarily arduous. Like it should not have been that tough, even though the Pistons are a good team and they're a tough matchup for the Knicks. Like, how can we take you seriously when you stumble and you have to scratch and claw early? That was last year. This year feels even worse because it's clear that, Mike Brown he just doesn't know what he's doing at this level. These substitution patterns are atrocious. What the Knicks are like he's still trying to figure this out. Dude, you've had the same team. The Knicks didn't make a big midseason move. They didn't bring in some star who is, ball dominant, and all of a sudden it's a massive curveball in the middle of the season. And Brunson's like, oh man, I'm used to having the rock. I got to figure this out. I've got to find a way to be compatible with this guy. It's like you brought in James Harden, or Kevin Durant, who's obviously one of the best of all time, Durant, and needs 20, 22, 23 shots a night. It's the same team that you had in training camp, but yet it's the same problems that you've had all year long. So the thing that I've said, and it pains me to really say, and I won't say it with that final ounce of finality because they didn't lose the series yet, and I still do think that they scrape it together and they piece it together and they win this series. I don't know if I'd bet on it at this point. Initially, think about this, guys. I said Knicks in 5 early last week. And then I'm like, you know what? They're a tough defensive team. I didn't think the Hawks would be able to score and really execute late the way they have been. So that surprised me. But I knew they were a good rebounding team. I know they had length. I know they were a good defensive team. And I know that they're well coached with Quinn Snyder, who was very good in Utah as well. So I didn't think it would be easy. And I actually amended that. And I said, Knicks in 6. Well, now they got to win a bunch straight just to have that happen. I mean, if Jalen Brunson has one bad, like a horrendous game the rest of the way, or Cat, slides back into invisible mode, or, if OG Anunoby didn't play the way he played last night, Knicks lose by 20. Like, the Knicks get absolutely obliterated last night. Utterly unacceptable, absolutely terrifying. And guys, think about this, right? This has been my main fear, my main criticism of the Knicks, to win a championship. And I know I'm repeating myself here, but it's worth repeating. To win a championship, you can't have lulls. You can't have peaks and valleys. I'm not saying you can't lose a game, but you can't still be looking for your identity in late April. What is the Knicks' identity? Somebody want to tell me? Like, what is it? You know, they're a good offensive team, but they're still not fully connected. They're a good defensive team, and the numbers spit that back at you, but when you got to get stops like last night, when you got to box out and stop some action at the rim, which they couldn't do at all, they didn't do it. A team that's going to win a championship needs to have a coach that has a clue how to use his players. Like the allocation of roles to me, that Mike Brown is still trying to figure this thing out. It's laughable. It gives you no confidence. And to win that championship, you've got to have 2 months. I've said this all year, 2 months of buttoned up, consistent, high-level performance. But yet here we are every other game, evaluating different problems. Like Bridges seems to be a consistent theme, but like one night, Brunson's playing hero ball. One night, outside of a quarter, Cat's invisible. One night, Josh Hart can't hit the broadside of a barn. One night, OG's phenomenal. Then he takes a big step back. One night, the Knicks bench is really good. Then it's kind of invisible. One night, Deuce is taking 1,000,000 shots, and then the next night he's taking none. Like, what is this? I don't know what this is, but I do know that it's nowhere near championship worthy. So we'll play the game, we'll play the dance, we'll watch the Knicks, we'll react to the Knicks every single night until there's nothing else to react to, really, from a basketball point of view this year. And then what we'll do is, whether it's in a week or whether it's in a month, but it's going to be short of a championship, and it's going to be short of getting to the NBA Finals. What we will then have to unpack is who's coaching the Knicks and where you're trading Cat. Or I got to be honest with you, and I almost don't even want to say this now. I love the guy, and he's terrific, and he's already been a great Knick. And if he stays here a couple of more years, which he probably will, his jersey's going to hang from the Garden. We all love Jalen Brunson. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to get to the point now where it's becoming a little bit more and more apparent that you're not going to win a championship if Jalen Brunson's your best player. The deficiencies are just too problematic. And the penchant for just shooting and pounding the ball and monopolizing the ball, it's just not congruent with a team that is going to go far and win a championship. So that's where we are. Last night was a basketball atrocity. You lose. It's one thing. This would be much more understandable, really. All right. So let's say Knicks win the first game like they did. Knicks come back, they win the second game, which they didn't, right? But if they're up 2-0, you go into Atlanta, and the crowd was good last night. It's funny. My son during the game said, "Man, these Hawks fans are really good. They're really loud." And I'm like, "Yeah, they're usually not like that, but they're feeling this group, right?" And obviously the Knicks bring a lot of energy and all that stuff, and they really like this team. And by winning game 2, obviously they're a little bit more emboldened and they're feeling themselves, which is great. It was a really good home court advantage last night. But I'm like, no, they're usually not like this in Atlanta, whether it's the Braves or the Falcons or really anything. I mean, no disrespect to Atlanta, but, the Atlanta Hawk fans are not exactly known to be, like Thunder fans or even Knicks fans at the Garden or Celtic fans. They don't have that reputation. They just don't. But so I was a little bit surprised at that. But like if the Knicks would have won the second game and then you've got this desperate team, you're on the road and the Hawks jump on you by 20, and then you wake up, you call a timeout. Guys, let's get this together. What are we doing? And, you start to figure things out. Even if you lose a close game, right, it's a little bit more understandable. But when you lose game 2, like to me, this is emblematic of a team that's going absolutely nowhere. When you lose game 2 and then you come out and you're sleepwalking in the first half when you're down by 18 points, like how are we supposed to have conviction in you? Why would we have conviction in you? You're not showing us any visible, tangible evidence that you've got that championship mindset, let alone the championship roster. So if the roster's not good enough and the effort or the focus and the execution is not good enough and the coach is not good enough, we're just like we're spinning wheels, So again, we'll do the dance. The Knicks are going nowhere this year, and I have told you that all season. I've told you this, guys. Many of you didn't want to believe it, and that's fine because you're fans. I get it. So am I. But the warning signs have been here literally all season long. So, not good. Not good. What was good was the draft, which I'll get to in a minute. The draft was awesome. I mean, last night was a great night. You know, Yankee pitching still phenomenal. Mets trying their best, giving up a granny. I mean, there was about a minute sequence where it's like boom, boom, boom. Trades, grand slam, this, that. Last night was a fun sports night, but you got to lead with the Knicks. It's the playoffs. And the Knicks are like a little 8 seed that are, this is not, even though they weren't an 8 seed back in 2020, this is not the 2020 Knicks where Tom Thibodeau comes here and, they piece together a roster and it's COVID and everybody's kind of all over the map emotionally. And because you have Tom Thibodeau, who is buttoned up and locked in and is going to force you to play defense, otherwise you're not playing, your ass is on the bench. Like the Knicks took advantage of that because the NBA was it was a very odd NBA season. It was a very odd world, really, with COVID. And the Knicks, to their credit, took advantage of it. But we knew that team was going nowhere, but it was still fun because they overachieved. And the Knicks were back a little bit. And like for the young Knicks fans that never got to experience what New York City is like, what the Garden sounds like once they let the fans back in with some of the COVID regulations or restrictions when they were lifted, you're like, oh, the younger Knicks fans like, oh, this is what I heard my dad talk about. Oh, this is what my big brother saw. This is what my uncle saw. Yeah, this is what we're kind of used to. But, in the playoffs with the Knicks. But unfortunately, with this team, we are also getting used to this maddening level of inconsistency. It is a problem, and it's not going to resolve itself. The next big thing that we will talk about is how do you get Giannis? And I'm not going to even do that now, but that's coming. There will be a day, and it might be very soon on Unleashed, where we will talk about, all right, who's getting shipped out? Like, who's gone? What's Mike Brown going to do? Who's coaching? Is it Billy Donovan? I don't know what this team is going to do. And I have had the thought, and I just said this before, and I hate saying it, but I've got to be true to what my eyes are telling me. And I love the guy. He's one of my all-time favorites already. But you have to, on some level, at least begin to imagine possibly what a world for the Knicks would be like without Jalen Brunson. I'm sorry. So, J-Rod, just
man,
I know you got your hands full with the Sixers here. We'll see what I would imagine you guys will bounce back, but you never know. Just an incredibly alarming performance by a team that had championship aspirations, expectations, payroll. Every move they made is for now, and right now feels maybe not broken, but certainly nowhere near good enough to win. This team is winning nothing.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, dude, my roommate, he comes into the apartment this morning and man, this guy just looked defeated, dude. And it's tough. It's painful because in my heart of hearts, I want to still believe, and not that this matters at all, but I want to still believe that the Knicks will win this series. But other than that, yeah, I think the road stops here. And this isn't even some Celtics bias. It's just they look awful.
Mikal Bridges stinks. He is. I am so sick of Mikal Bridges. I don't want to watch. Honestly, I know that Mike Brown's not going to do this, but now he's got to start looking at guys at the back of that the rotation who aren't even playing right now. It might be Mo Diawara time. It might be. He can shoot. He can D. It's getting. You're going to need some more minutes for Alvarado. It's time to start doing some stuff. I don't know what he's waiting for. His rotations are atrocious.
No, I saw something. It was maybe slide Bridges into that Iguodala role. Just hope maybe he can play some defense off the bench. And dude, for him, that is just absolutely wild to be.
Yeah, he's soft.
To be compared to a 37-year-old small forward who's so out of their prime, it was ridiculous. And that's who people view you as now is just, it's embarrassing.
It really is. It's embarrassing, but even more specifically, it's a massive problem here. All right, let's start getting some reaction here. We'll get the calls going. Hopefully everybody's having a good Friday. No rules Friday. Not that there's ever rules. We got no what rules do we have? We don't need rules. We do whatever we want here on the show, which today includes absolutely tearing apart the Knicks because they deserve it. Charlie F, 6675. Thank you, Charlie. Knicks had an opportunity we all thought to make the finals, partially because of the weaknesses of the Eastern Conference. True. Tatum hurt earlier, all the different circumstances. Obviously, Halliburton with the Pacers. Knicks took a step back with Brown, and that is the difference in 2026. Well, I mean, Mike Brown was not my first choice. We know that, right? I was willing to give him a chance because I thought that it was time for the Knicks to move on from Tom Thibodeau. Now, if the Knicks lose in the first round, what I said is completely without justification. It will have been a bad take. And there was a lot of us who thought it was time to move on from Tom Thibodeau. Nobody was clamoring for Mike Brown. If you remember, the Knicks coaching search was all over the map. Staley, Dawn Staley, and talking to everybody. Malone, I'm like, oh, are you going to hire him? Like, what's going on here? You just heard a lot of different names, and they settled on Mike Brown, and it was a very convoluted, very confusing, search. And to me, like, there's one thing when you're doing due diligence, like that's good. You're turning over every rock. To me, it was not that. It's not like the Knicks were, in my opinion, it's not like the Knicks were so buttoned up and they had this great plan where they had 5 or 6 people and they really wanted to thoroughly invest. Oh, who's best for this group of players? Because we know that this coach is going to have the expectations of a championship. And I think maybe it seemed like that to some of you because they were talking to everybody. Oh, wow, the Knicks are casting a wide net. What a broad scope. What a phenomenal job by the Knicks. No, I thought it was very disjointed. And you talk to everybody. You didn't call Patino. You didn't call Danny Hurley. You may as well call them because you spoke to everybody else. So, man, I don't know what to tell you here except that, unfortunately, I fear that I'm going to be right. And I don't want to be right about this. And again, I keep saying I still think that they win the series, but the matchups are not looking very favorable. And think about the possibility, and I'm not going to even go back to this. Well, if they, because they needed other things to happen. Remember, they laid down against the Hornets that last game, and we talked about that a little bit. I didn't go nuts because to me, you do what you do, and if you are good enough to win a championship or get deep and make a run at a championship, then the matchups that you have and the personnel that you have, you shouldn't be so hell-bent on, well, we play better against the Raptors and, we don't know if we love this Hawks match, whatever it might be. Like, just go out there, play ball, and force the other teams to respond to you. But there is no denying, because I told you this, because we watched the season, that once the Hawks made the trade with Trae Young, did what they did, the Knicks had a much tougher time with the Hawks than they did the Raptors. Like, they smacked the Raptors. Like, they would have swept the Raptors here. But I think that because it was a smaller sample, I know they played them at the end of the year. Brunson had a big fourth quarter down there. But in the regular season, like, these matchups are just they are problematic for the Knicks here. Like, you can look at it two ways, all right? And I choose to look at it the way that's rooted in reality. Like, I don't get wrapped up. Maybe I do a little bit before the season, but once things start, all I care about was what I'm looking at, right? And, I think if you're sitting there saying, well, the Knicks are the higher seed, and maybe you didn't watch the Knicks every night like many of us do, or you didn't really check in on the Hawks at all. The Hawks, they're a 6 seed. Come on, Knicks are supposed to get to a championship or the finals again in the Eastern Conference. They'll find a way to win this thing. If you're leaning on that logic or that thought process, you are going to be sorely disappointed because you're missing things that are happening in front of your eyes. All you have to do is watch the players that the Hawks roll out, and it's not favorable matchups for the New York Knicks. And the NBA is all about matchups. So that's where we are right now. That's where we are. Oh, my God. All right, Jay, do you want to start hammering some calls here, buddy?
Yes, sir. Let's get Benji from Upper East Side. Oh,
obviously starting with the Knicks here. We'll get to the draft stuff, obviously. Yes. Okay, yes, let's do it. Thank you there, J-Rod. Benji's on the Upper East Side on a Friday. Knicks look awful. Benji, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
BT, I feel like I got run over by a completely, massive truck, but I'm trying to pick myself up and understand that we are one win. We are just win the game tomorrow.
Yep.
And then all the energy and the series shifts back to us and our positivity, and we can take this. We don't need to look beyond last night's game. Anything beyond this series is irrelevant. All the other stuff, offseason, whatever. We obviously played a terrible game 3, especially to start the game. No excuse to come in and look so disjointed.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised that Brunson did not come with more energy early in the game. He just reverted back to the iso ball. The cat thing, I paid close attention to it. He's been the best player for us in this series.
I agree. Well, and OG was great too, but no, you're not wrong. I mean, I got no problem with Cat.
He's 16 for 16 from the line. He's still getting 12 shots a game. The
I know.
first time he actually got a normal post up,
Yep.
I believe was with like just over 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. The second that Mohamed Gay checks into the game, you should pass the ball to him every single time. The same way when I'm in a game, I'm a string bean like physique. Somebody sees the second I'm in the game and there's a big man, he's attacking me. That's the way it needs to be. We have to make this adjustment for game 4. I'm trying to be level-headed here. The Bridges thing is a major, major issue.
He's just horrendous. He's been a complete colossal disappointment. I don't care what he does next game. He could drop 30. It was still a bad move by Leon Rose. Leon Rose absolutely whiffed on that trade. Period. He whiffed.
And just like you said with Diawara, he needs serious consideration. At least with Clarkson, he's coming out there playing aggressively, getting offensive rebounds. He's making things happen in the paint. We know with Alvarado, he's limited offensively, but he's getting up in somebody's face. He's putting pressure on defense. Mm-hmm. We need to respond tomorrow. And I'm going to take it a step further here because I believe we're going to get this win.
Yep.
Here's what's going to happen. We are going to win the game tomorrow. It's going to be 2-2 heading back home. You send me a DM. You join me in the seats for game 5. 2 Stella cans. Let's get it rocking.
Oh, you still bring with that invite. Yeah, that's very generous. That's awesome. And I'm not saying no. I've got 2 kids and I've got basically something every night. So it's just a little tricky to do that, but I'm not saying no. And I really appreciate that, Benji. Thank you for the call. I do have the DM. We got you. You can hit me up as well. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I mean, that's a fairly level-headed take there. I mean, you know, I don't know how any Knicks fan right now can be anything that resembles anything remotely close to being brazen. Like, if you are, you're just like, wow, we're better because we're the higher seed, or, oh, we're better because we're from New York, or because we're supposed to win. Like, the eye test right now has got to be telling you, if you know basketball, that these are problematic matchups the rest of this series. So, you know, do I think the Knicks win the next game? I do. I kind of. I do. But you talk about adjustments, right? And hasn't that really been much of the theme this year? Like the adjustments. Think back to training camp, right? When Karl Anthony Towns at the press conference to start off training camp, he said, hey, you know, and it was fairly innocuous, but I was like, I don't know if I love that. And I commented on that. I didn't go nuts, but he's like, yeah, I don't know what my role is yet. Still trying to figure that out. All right, it's October. Well, now it's April, and we're still trying to figure this out, because there should never be, unless Jalen Brunson, it just comes out and drops like 18 in the first quarter and just has that look where he's going for 40 or 50, then he can take 25, 30 shots, and that's fine, because he has done that before, and he's had a lot of monster games in the postseason with 40+, and he's a big-time clutch scorer. All right. And he's earned that, right? He's earned that latitude to figure it out when it's not going well. And I certainly heat check when he's going well. I mean, beyond that, I mean, everybody at the NBA level has the green light when you're hot to just put up one more to see, all right, this is going to be an all-time night, but especially Jalen Brunson. But the shot disparity, there should not be this discrepancy in terms of shots taken. I don't know why. Can you get Karl? It's funny. I'm banging the drum for Cat because he's earned it. And I have peeled back my criticisms of Karl Anthony Towns for about the last month or so, maybe month and a half. Go back, check the channel. I was banging all over him early. Like I was all over him, you know, and even last night late, you know, fourth quarter, there were a couple of times, like he did try to aggressively get to the rim, had the ball stripped. You know, you see the feet, the legs flailing, the arms flailing like a baby giraffe on skates. Like it's never like tight with Karl Anthony Towns. Now, he was trying to get downhill, whether it was baseline. There was another one where he was like foul line extended and he went down the paint. Both times it was knocked away, but at least the energy and the motor was high. Like the focus was there. The willingness to initiate aggressive offense was there. And I've called on him to do that for a while. So I give him credit there. But even in those moments where you're like, all right, I'd like to see a little bit more polish, you know, you're not 6'5", trying to go in there with some big boys, 270-pound man who's got an immense amount of skill from the outside, but it still looks sloppy, but that's Karl Anthony Towns. This is not the day to bang on him. It's not the day to bag on him. He's doing his job. And really, for the last month and a half, I think he's done his job, what's being asked of him, at an incredibly high level. I talk a lot about adaptability, right? One of the things I always reference here, because I think it probably illuminates it the best, and I'll stick with basketball, is Pat Riley. Pat Riley with the Lakers won one way, score 125 points, run you out of the gym, fast break up the wazoo, and then you got a little sky hook when it's time to ice the game. Boom. That's how he won with the Lakers. And then he comes here, and he's got the complete antithesis. He's Patrick, who is, was still a really good athlete at that point, but certainly not Kareem, not that kind of player. No Magic Johnson here, no James Worthy here, no Michael Cooper or Byron Scott here. So he looked at his personnel, and instead of trying to win 127, to 113, he's like, all right, I got to grind it out. We got to maximize possessions, and we got to beat the shit out of you, and we got to foul you, and we've got to instill fear in you, and we've got to win 87-79, 91-86. All those games we watched, which were great. Like the Knicks would hit a jump shot. I'm like, oh, here we go. I mean, like this, in the second quarter, Derek Harper or Hubert Davis or Greg Anthony, I'm trying to think of some of the guards. Somebody hits like a 17-foot open jump shot. I'm like, all right, the offense is clicking. Like that represented a big moment, because the Knicks were so, their style. And then from there, so you had the Lakers version, the Knicks version, and now you had, when he went to the Miami, it was definitely a lot like the Knicks, but then it adapted, and he further adapted as the NBA began to change. And obviously, Dwayne Wade and LeBron helps that when he's the president. But I see zero adaptability with Mike Brown. I see the same exact team. I mean, he wasn't, at least he was adaptable to the bench, playing more than Tom Thibodeau. But, Mo Diawara, who's looked pretty damn good to me. I haven't seen him in the playoffs. Why not? Not that I need to see Tyler Kolek, but Tyler Kolek had some really good moments this year, and then he forgot about him. I know that Alvarado's acquisition changed that. I get that. But I want to see a little bit more Alvarado as well. So I just see the same team trying to play the same way, and just a frustration and an inconsistency. There's the play by Cat again. Yeah, he got an offensive rebound, baseline, pump fake. I'm watching the highlights again. OG stopped at the rim. May got hit on the hand. OG was great. But, yeah, I mean, I would have nothing negative to say about Cat if he would have finished those two drives that I was just talking about. But really, over the last month and a half, he has at least embraced his role. A little more pick and roll with Brunson. Actually, a lot more pick and roll with Brunson. Hitting the window. Being more of a big man facilitator and embracing and not complaining. I mean, it's got to be killing him. He's got to be sitting there saying, and he should say this to Mike Brown. I don't know if Mike Brown wants to hear it. I don't know if Mike Brown would change anything about it. But I'm at the point, if I'm Karl Anthony Towns, I'm knocking on his door. I'm saying, yo, let's go. Get me the ball. Get me the basketball. Get me the ball early. Let me eat early. I can't just have one quarter where I get fed, I go off, and then you guys forget about me again. You got to change this. That's the only reason why I bring up the Pat Riley adaptability. So, Mike Brown is just not doing it. He's not doing it. He has not done a good job this year. I know they won more games than Tom Thibodeau last year, but stylistically, if you don't have an identity, how are you going to win a championship, right? And I'll get to the Yankees a little bit later. It's not a big baseball day, but the Yankees starting pitching has been aces again. I mean, 6 straight starts, phenomenal, right? And the Yankees sweep the Red Sox. You got to love seeing that. But one of the reasons why I think the Yankees haven't won a World Series, first of all, they're built incorrectly, as we know, with Cashman, but I don't know what the Yankees' identity has been. It's been, all right, Judge, go hit 55 home runs and let us win 90-something games and make the playoffs, and hopefully we mess around to get lucky. And they have not. They have not won anything, right? But if you go back to the Yankee championship teams, obviously 96, 98, 99, and then 2000, and then 2009, there was a much more clearer identity. You knew who they were. High on base, a lot of power, obviously a lockdown bullpen, Mo, but even before Mo, identity was clear. They caught the ball. They had a couple of guys that can run. Nobody was banging 50 bombs, but everybody was hitting at least 20, and they made you work. I mean, you look at some of the OPSs. I know it was the steroid era, and who knows who was doing what, but you look at some of the OPSs for those Yankee teams, like everybody had, 830, 840, 870, a couple of guys in the nines, so I at least with this Yankee team, I believe their identity is going to be clearly starting pitching, especially when you get Garrett Cole and Rodon back. What is the Knicks' identity? Let's hope Brunson scores 40, and let's hope they don't ignore Cat. Well, what is their identity? How could you be a champion without an identity? I don't know. When the Ravens won those championships, their identity, phenomenal defense, right? The Giants with Parcells, what was their identity? Linebackers and a tough quarterback who made the right play in Phil, and then Hostetler, a more athletic quarterback who made plays. Eli's championships, what was their identity? Get to Tom Brady, make him uncomfortable, sack him, hit him, push him around, and then put the ball in the hands of Eli and let him make some clutch plays. It worked. That was their identity. Great coaching, and obviously Tiki never won, but at least with Tiki, the identity was feed Tiki, who was one of the best players in the NFL. I don't know what the Knicks' identity is. So, problem. Big problem.
Big time.
Oh, God. I want to get to the NFL draft, but I don't think I'm done airing out the Knicks. They really pissed me off last night. That is just egregious. That is pathetic to be down by 18 points early when you lose the previous game. That should happen when you're up 3-zip. And, not that I don't think this Knicks team is wired this way. So I'm just saying this for effect. But you're up 3-0. You're playing a team that you can never come back and win 4 straight. So you go to a city, maybe you go out, especially if you're in Atlanta, go to Magic City, whatever you're going to do. But Knicks players don't do that. I don't think the NBA players even really roll the way that they used to roll because of cameras, right? But in the old days, you're up 3-0, whatever. We'll just take the night off here. We'll go out. We'll have a fun night, and then we'll suck it up. We'll lose. We'll come back, and then we'll just smoke them, and we'll put them out of their misery by halftime. You lose game 2, and it's the complete opposite. No urgency, no focus, no production, no defense, sloppy rotations, just a mess. Just a mess. All right. How was the chat today, Jay?
It's popping, dude.
People got to be pissed, right?
Yeah, they're just going in. It seems like there's just an air of defeat, in the air with the Knicks.
I can feel it. All right, let's get back to the phones. Who do we have there, Jay?
We've got Brandon from Cleveland calling about the Knicks.
All right, the great city of Cleveland. There you go. Ohio in the house. Brandon, what's happening, buddy? How you doing?
BT, brother, you got me?
Yes, sir. I got you. What up, man?
I just feel like we are seeing all of the issues that we kind of whistled past the graveyard with the Knicks over the last year just collapse in front of our face.
Timeout, 20-second timeout on the floor. All due respect, don't say we. I was not part of that.
Fair.
All right.
Fair.
Just to be clear here, man. I got enough L's on the resume.
Okay,
I'm
fair.
right. I'm going to tell you. All right, go ahead.
It starts with the coaching. It starts with the search. We fired Tibbs. We had no real plan.
Yep.
We just basically went out and said, hey, who wants to be the coach of the Knicks? We made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So who wants to sign up? And we end with Brown. And being from Cleveland, he couldn't even win with the second best player in NBA history.
I don't know if they had the roster to win a championship at that point, but I got you. And by the way, he's a 2-time coach of the year. He's not a scrub. He's just not a championship coach, obviously.
It always starts out hot for him. We didn't even have the runway that he had in Sacramento. We kind of were like, oh, maybe this team is good when we won the NBA Cup. Maybe Brown is the coach. Oh, he's given the bench a longer runway. The starters are getting more time off. The minutes are down. Okay. Well, it's the playoffs now. These guys shouldn't be averaging 34, 35 minutes in the playoffs. Now's the time that you play them 40 minutes.
Yeah, now's you just run them into the ground now. Yeah, I can't say that the distribution of minutes is the main issue though here, Brandon. That's not what I'm not saying that it's perfect and his rotations stink. So I mean, it's embarrassingly bad. some of the combinations that he's put out there. I remember after game one, was it game? No, I guess it was game two, pardon me, where, hold on, I just want to make sure I have this right. So I wrote this down. It was game two, and they had 5 guys out there, and it was only for a couple of minutes, but they lost the game, right? And they had never had those 5 guys out there play together in a game during the regular season. So Mike Brown, in his inherent genius, decides that's a good time to trot it out during, where the hell is it? During the NBA playoffs. Here it is. I got it. Good. God, these notes are piling up, man. Yeah, so it was like 3.5 minutes. They had Alvarado, Clarkson, Bridges, OG, and Mitch Robinson. Never did that once during the entire regular season, and Mike Brown unveils that lineup, for a couple of minute sequence in the playoffs. And how stupid is that?
I mean, who in the hell is scoring in that lineup? Who is scoring?
Yeah.
Who is going to be the primary scorer there?
Yep.
His lineups are just insane. But I just felt that it just felt like everything was collapsing when, like, in the middle of the second quarter, Bridges gets the ball at the top of the key. He looks so scared. He didn't even dribble. He threw a little floater to Mitch. It got tipped. Fast break the other way, dunk. It goes from like 10 to 12. Crowd's going crazy. Yep. And then that was most of the minutes that Bridges seen for the rest of the night. But I just couldn't believe it.
His ass was where it should have been, just pinned to the bench. And thank you for the call. I appreciate that. There you go. Yeah, look at that, Ohio. I think that's the first call from Cleveland, right there, Jay?
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, we've had Florida. We've had Carolina, London, UK.
Yeah, Australia,
and Ohio. Yep.
All right, there you go.
Taking it global.
No doubt. Let me at least start dropping some coverage here for the draft, some reaction. Obviously, Knicks the theme. Get the calls rolling. J-Rod, it's in the J. Actually, you know what? Maybe we won't do this forever, but if you could pop on, I know that there's more people who are new to the show. Just give them a quick explanation, buddy, how they could actually call the show.
Unleash fam. I got you. Here's how you call into the show. So here, I'll send the link into it just so I can kind of show you it.
Yep.
So right there, you can see in the chat, just drop the link. It says StreamYard.com/VQC . Click that link. You'll meet me in a backstage room, very similar to what BT and I are speaking into right now. I'll ask you for your name, your question, and then where you're calling from. I'll send a link to this studio and then throw you up here. So 2 clicks, 2 links, and you're calling with BT.
Clickety click, clickety clack, and you're on the show. All right, good job there, J-Rod. Appreciate it. All right, so listen, let's get to the draft here. Now, I wanted the Jets to trade out of 2. I knew they weren't going to. I mean, listen, everybody's got an opinion on Bailey. Some people think he's going to be phenomenal. Some people like, well, the ceiling's a little low. All right, I don't love the pick. I'm not going to lie about that, but I understand the pick. You needed some edge presence, obviously. Hopefully it's transfers, and hopefully he really is the real deal. I absolutely love what the Jets did the rest of the night. And I'm not here to dump on the Bailey pick. I would have gone Reese or trade out myself, but Bailey should be at the bare minimum good, right? Kenyon Sadiq at 16 is a name that you've heard me saying for a while. Matter of fact, I had him going to the Giants in our mock on the Jets Collective the other night, myself and Rich Samini and Jake Asman, to get Kenyon Sadiq there, because at that point, I'm less concerned about, all right, and many of you said this, and most people said this, Jets got to get a wide receiver. I get that, but I'd rather get a guy who I know still vertical. I mean, whether he's a wide receiver or a tight end, does it really matter? I don't think, and now you get Cooper with the trade, which I'll get to in a minute, which I love as well. I mean, the Jets offense, now, obviously you're going to have to find your quarterback, obviously, but you're now looking at a Jets offense. Gino will be much better than anything they've ever had, at least for a while. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, all right, really good running back room, we know that. Garrett Wilson, and by the way, John Gruden last night said Garrett Wilson's not a number 1 receiver. John, what are you talking about, dude? It may not be Jerry Rice. He might not be Megatron. Think about the junk that he's played with as quarterbacks since he got here. And think about the production. I mean, last year he was hurt different, but come on, John. And I don't think that John says stuff for effect, so he must really believe that, but I couldn't disagree more. Garrett Wilson's terrific. So you got to stud at Garrett Wilson. Now you got A.D. Mitchell. All right, I'm not going to go nuts, but I do like him. We'll see. You got 2 tight ends. Mason Taylor's good and reliable and going to get open. Now you got Kenyon Sadiq. And oh, yeah, by the way, now in the slot, you put Amari Cooper. What a trade. I mean, so Geno, Brees, Garrett Wilson, A.D. Mitchell, Cooper in the slot, Taylor, and then obviously Sadiq at the tight end spot when they run 2 out there, which they will. And then Ruckert's a good blocker. And Sadiq's a pretty decent blocker as well, better blocker than Mason Taylor. And oh, yeah, by the way, you've got 2 bookend tackles on the left side in Olu Fashanu and then, Memboot. I got so many names in my head. Jesus, the nicknames, it's ridiculous. All these names sit in my head right now. Obviously, the right Arma, but why can't I remember his name? Arma Memboot on the right side. Thank you, from Missouri. And so the Jets have a good old line. And now the Jets. So, yeah, it's about presenting much more of a aesthetically pleasing product this year. Defense, you're going to have to get some defense today. A couple of good corners out there. Jets have to go corner or linebacker. That's what they'll do today. Obviously, in round 4, maybe some interior guard play. But, this is all about when they get their next quarterback. And you'd have to think it's going to be next year. And by the way, Geno's going to throw 20-something touchdowns, 3,800 yards. The Jets offense, it's not saying much. I understand this, but it's the best Jets offense that they've had probably since Fitzpatrick, and I think that this Jets O-line is better, and they've got more tight end options. Yeah, so I'd probably say, what was that, 2015 when they won 10 games, right? And lost up in Buffalo with Decker and Marshall and those guys, and Fitzpatrick had a big year. So I love what the Jets did. If Bailey is, I know he's going to be good. If Bailey's the real deal, and some people love him, some people are salivating over him. I'm not, but I'm obviously intrigued. And if I didn't like it, I would tell you. Again, I would have traded out, but you need somebody to trade with. But if Bailey really is that guy, Bailey, Sadiq, Cooper, Jets had a good night. I think the Jets had a really good night. And I think that the Giants had a phenomenal night. There was not one person, just based on what we were expecting, 1 through 4, who had the Giants being in a position, unless they moved up, to get Reese from Ohio State. So you go out, you get Arvell Reese at number 5, and you get Maui Noah as an offensive lineman at number 10. And I was telling you, and I was certainly open to this. I'm I think that there's a chance, not at 5, because I thought the Giants could go Caleb Downs, maybe Sonny Styles. And I knew that receiver would be in play, or at least I thought it would be. But I told you over the last week or 2, maybe even more than that. Well, no, I'm sorry, within the last week with the Dexter Lawrence trade at 10. I'm hey, once you do that, and once you get that defender that you're going to get at number 5, I do think it opens up a lane to go O-line at number 10. And that's exactly what I did. I know he's had a little bit of a back issue, but you've got to at least, until proven otherwise, you've got to trust the Giants medicals. You got to trust John Harbaugh, who obviously was all behind this pick. So, you get Reese, who just jumps off the film, and if he becomes what most people think he's going to become with some age and maturity and all that stuff, and you've got to utilize him properly, obviously, home run. And now the Giants' offensive line, with Maui Noah, with Andrew Thomas, John Runyon, Illuminor, and even John Michael Schmitz to a lesser extent, you throw him in there. All right, now we're cooking a little bit here. Now, Neighbors is not going to be Neighbors week 1. We'll see where Cam Scatterbo is. They've got a couple of tight ends already. They picked up Likely, and I thought that was a good move. And, if the Giants could snag a receiver soon, it's all about building this really, at least with a young quarterback, from the inside out. That is how good Giant teams have always had outstanding O-lines, David Deal and those boys, right? And then obviously, you look around the NFL and, teams that just, you can have a great quarterback. If your O-line is Swiss cheese, or if your defense is awful like the Bengals, it subverts so much what your quarterback could do. So I love it. I love what the Giants did. I am loving what the Jets did. Darren Muji, he is what I thought he is, because, and he's ultimately going to get graded on whether or not he gets the quarterback and what moves he makes next year. And I didn't think nobody did that he would tap into the 27 draft capital to do something this year. But by moving up a couple of slots this year, from the first pick of round 2, a couple from 33 up to 30 to get Cooper. I mean, this guy is a slot machine. I mean, the praise. Number one, he's on a team that we all watched. All right, so that always makes you feel pretty good. I think that is, I think, too often the fuel for the reaction of a lot of these picks. Like when your team drafts somebody that you don't know, you just associate it with being a bad pick. He didn't go to Ohio State. Didn't go to Michigan. Didn't go to USC. Didn't go to, whatever, LSU, whatever football factory it might be. But that means nothing. I mean, really. And by the way, all these opinions that I have right now mean nothing, when they actually get on the field and do what they do and become who they're going to become. But last night was a great night for New York football. And the crazy thing, too, the only reason the Giants had access to this is because the Tennessee Titans, I'm not going to crush them for this, but like the Tennessee Titans really flipped the board. So let's get a little national flavor here. Let me at least read this here. What do we got? Major_League 99. Major League 99. Why does every commish get booed at every draft? And for No Rules Friday, who is your least favorite Sopranos character? That's what I mean by no rules. Again, we have no rules. We say whatever we want. We do whatever we want whenever we want to do it in the manner in which we need to do it. But yeah, I think maybe a No Rules Friday, that's a good example where you could just ask me something completely out of the ordinary, and I'll give you an answer. Let me just jot that down so I don't forget. Least favorite Sopranos character. And why does the commissioner get booed? Honestly, at this point, to me, it's like a wrestling bit. It's like where the crowd just kind of jumps in. I don't know, like when they were first booing Goodell, whether it was maybe some of the Kaepernick stuff or some of the other stuff, I really thought, like, man, they can't stand this guy. They're just booing him. Meanwhile, he's one of the best commissioners out there. I'm not saying he's perfect, and I don't love a lot of the things he's done that compromise our viewing habits and forced us to spend more money streaming, etc. But he has been great for the sport in terms of monetizing the brand, right? And, off the field issues been dialed down. It's a pretty good product here. It's pretty competitive outside of some of the bad teams. You don't really know who's going to win the Super Bowl. Look at Seattle. Look at Sam Darnold. So I think there's a good amount of parity. Fiscally, the league is as healthy as it's ever been. Salary cap keeps going up 25, 30, 35 million bucks a year. Good commish, right? But they do it because it gives them, you become part of the show. Do I think that they actually detest Roger Goodell? No. You just boo the commissioner. Like David Stearns would get booed when he would come out, for the NBA. That is what it is. Manfred doesn't get booed because MLB's draft situation is so different. But it's not a big deal. My least favorite Sopranos character. I got to be honest. I was getting tired of the Vito storyline. Yeah, Vito up at a bed and breakfast, hiding, it's... and not because of what was going on with the sexuality. I don't mean that. I just mean I think that dragged on. Like enough of Vito. Like Vito was to me, Vito was corny. I never felt this character, even before the flip and everything that came out. Vito was not a favorite character. And if it didn't go on as long as it did, I don't think it would bother me. I mean, like Chris Moltisanti's the best. Tony's phenomenal. Carmela's great. The kids were awesome. Walnut's the man. I love Johnny Sack. I love Phil. I thought Phil was a good foil. Junior. I didn't love Bobby Bacala early, but then he definitely, especially when he knocked out Tony. To start so episode, awesome. Whatever the episode 7, year 7, right? That was great. My least favorite, Vito's going to get a vote. And I got to be honest with you. I didn't love Janice, but
that's B-Bart Janice 1,000%. I've got a hot take, and it's not that I don't like this character because it's like you like this character, but the guy who just like I hated, like you watch it, you go, I hate this guy, was Ralph, dude.
Ralphie was great. I thought he was an awesome character.
He was like an awesome character, but he really made me like hate him. Like he was the dude on the show who I was like, he is the definition of evil.
Yes. Oh, he was twisted, man. No doubt about that. Who was the guy with the ponytail? Was that Florio? Got that name right? I think I'm saying that wrong.
Fabio, you got it. You got it. It's L. If it's FL, it's FL.
Yeah, he was good. He had a great purpose there. That's why The Sopranos is The Sopranos, and that's why it's as rated as highly as it is, and one of the treasures of TV of all time, because there weren't very few bad characters. But I would say
Yeah.
Vito, and then I would probably say Janice.
Okay.
But Janice really did have a great purpose, like the back and forth with
Yeah, it
Tony,
was-
even the relationship with Carmella. Always trying to hustle and do wrong by her mom to get the money. I would probably say Vito. That's my vote.
Okay,
At the end of the
good
day, I'm going to
take.
go Vito. That's a good example. No Rules Friday. Get that stuff coming in. All right. So rest of the draft here, we got a couple of the surprises. I mean, right away, right? Jeremiah Love to the Cardinals. Listen, I get it. You want to become a really good team, go out and get really good players. But, and I know they were trying to trade out there, and I don't blame them. I thought they were going to take Reese. I wasn't stunned when they took Love because he is different. I get it. But could have gone all line there. But that's why I think they would try to trade out. Like if they would have dropped down a couple of spots and gotten, say, Spencer Fano, or even what the Giants did, okay, I think that's a better look for them. Maybe it doesn't excite their fans, but certainly, builds the guts of the team in a way that needs to be built. But he's going to be a blast to watch. So I'm not going to go nuts criticizing that. But really, the first curveball was Robert Saleh's first draft with the Titans. I mean, I thought for sure once Love went 3, I'm like, there's no doubt they got to go defense here with Reese, right? They have to go defense. Now, I think if the Jets would have taken Reese, then I'm almost positive that Saleh and the Titans would have gone for Bailey, all right, and have Jermaine Johnson and Bailey kind of bookend edges, see where that goes. But they didn't. And I like Cornell Tate. I don't love the pick, but he's obviously a very good player. I thought these are just things I'm kind of cherry picking stuff that jumped out. I thought the Chiefs trading up for the best corner. We talked a lot about Mansour Delane, phenomenal player, very aggressive, very bold, very good move. I thought the Saints were going to go defense. That surprised me. Every time the Saints came up at 8, whether it was Sonny Styles dropping to them, who went to the Commanders, phenomenal job by the Commanders. I mean, that's a home run. No, oh, wow, Sonny Styles, here's the placard. Here you go. That's what we're taking. Like, there's nothing to think about unless somebody calls you and gives you something wacky in terms of a trade proposal. But every time the Saints came up, whether it was myself and Rich and Jake on the Jets Collective, obviously here on Unleashed, tweets, whatever. I mean, I've been, I don't really put out a mock draft. That's not my thing. But, I'm following mock drafts and I'm talking about possibilities about the draft for months. I don't just start doing it a week before the draft. You guys know that. And every time I talked about the Saints, it was defense, 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 defense. That surprised me, but I do like it. It still surprised me, Jordan Tyson. I thought Dallas with that trade, moving up the spot from 12 to 11, get an absolute stud. I thought Caleb Downs would go 5 to the Giants, even though I love what the Giants did based on the way the board went. That is a massive, massive win for the Dallas Cowboys. Phenomenal. And then, I mean, let's face it, the biggest surprise of the night, Ty Simpson going 13 to the Rams. And there was a lot made of Sean McVay's post-draft reaction with Les Snead. I got to be honest. I thought everybody was really missing the mark with that. Everybody's like, oh, look at McVay's body language. Oh, look at the way he's describing his quarterback. He looks very disenchanted with the move. I didn't get that at all. I really didn't. I think it's very – now, I thought for sure they were going wide receiver. That's what I absolutely thought they were going to do. So, and even if they didn't go receiver, I didn't think there was any chance they were taking Ty Simpson. None. Now, I told you there's no doubt Ty Simpson's going in the first round, and I even had him going inside the top 20. I knew the Jets wouldn't take him, but well, it's bold. And listen, the funny thing is, right? So the Rams take him at 13. And not that say if Patrick Mahomes was, say, 35, all right, or 36, and the Chiefs moved up and they took Simpson there. Good, stable, winning organizations, and this is just the way it goes. It's not right or wrong. It is what it is. Those good, winning, stable organizations that, time and time again show that draft acumen, right? If they would have moved up, to say Mahomes is 36, and they would have taken Ty Simpson, wow, look at those Chiefs doing it again. He'll sit for a year or two, just like Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith, much like the Rams, who are a stable, winning organization, very forward-thinking. Now that they take Ty Simpson at 13, nobody's crushing it, but I promise you, if the Jets would have taken him at 16, they would have been railroaded because they're the Jets and they haven't earned the benefit of the doubt. Or like if the Cleveland Browns, who made a move off of 6, if the Browns would have taken Ty Simpson at 6 or, scooted down and taken Ty, oh my God, the Browns, what are we doing? It is what it is. If you're a winner, you get the benefit of the doubt. If you're a loser, you get crushed. I think that outside of, there's really so many things that I thought went well for a lot of teams last night. All right. But if I had to zero in on 2 or 3 things that I think were the best, I would say the Giants reset 5. I would say Dallas moving up a slot, getting Caleb Downs at 11. And now they got a little lucky here. It was a no-brainer, but just being in the right spot, sometimes that's the way it goes. The Buccaneers getting Reuben Bain at 15 is a massive win. Massive win. So, I think last night was fun. I love the Sadiq pick for the Jets there. What the Browns are going to do. A.J. Brown is going to be, the Browns. What the Eagles will do, A.J. Brown will get dealt. I know Schefter had that again today. And now you got somebody who's going to, slide right in there. Mekhi Lemon at number 20, good fit for Philly. They too get the benefit of the doubt. And I love Omar Cooper for the Jets. I just do. In that slot, 200-pound, shifty, can separate. You could just back to this. Think about what the Jets can do concept-wise. You could come out. I don't know how you're going to stop this. I'm not going to go on some ridiculous, unhinged, take on the Jets having some prolific offense. But at the very least, it's intriguing. And at the very least, it's going to be hard to scheme against, right? So you got Garrett wide. You've got Mitchell wide. You got Cooper in the slot. You got Sadiq, wherever you want to put him in motion, whatever you want to do with him. And then, when you want to run the double tight end, so you got Mason Taylor who could catch it. And then, by the way, because you're going to have all these, you're going to have some nickel and dime coverage because all these Jets players can run. Well, yeah, let's audible out of the pass. Here's Breece Hall off tackle with this offensive line that's going to maul some smaller guys because they got to be able to run with all the weapons the Jets are putting out there. There's Braylon Allen, bang, off tackle, 13 yards. And then when they adjust to that and they come in and they bring the big boys back in, well, now you go vertical. If the Jets, honestly, if the Jets had, and Geno is a real quarterback. I almost said if they had a real quarterback. He's a real quarterback. He's fine. He's going to be much better than anything they've had since, Rodgers had some moments as well, but before Rodgers, well over a decade. He's competent. He throws a good deep ball. He's accurate. He's going to move the sticks. He's not going to whiff on wide open passes. He's going to get you out of bad plays. He's going to be a pretty decent leader. And with the Jets O-line, I think it's going to be very stable up front. But imagine if the Jets had a really good quarterback, really good with these guys. Wow. So that's where it starts to turn. And that's the advantage. And you could thank Joe Douglas for this, although last year, obviously, you pick Membood on the right side for the Jets from Missouri because Olu was the previous year. The fact that the Jets entered this draft with a good offensive line and not having, and I said this for a while, and when you have that, now you can start getting the tight end. You can't justify taking a tight end if you can't block. You know what I mean? So now that you have a good O-line, now you could do this. But we got a good O-line. Now we could go out there and trade a few slots in and get a slot guy that we really know can run through, some arm tackles and is shifty, and we can use a variety of ways. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun with the with Frank Reich and how they deploy some of these weapons here. So fun night. Good draft. Wreckham at Brian NY. Brian NY, New York 20 NY 2220. Appreciate that. What do we got here? A little something on the Jets, I believe. No, yeah, so easy to bash the Jets. Meanwhile, the Mets and the Knicks have just as bad a history. The GM of the Knicks never talks, and the owner only goes on the fan to answer softball questions. Listen, I don't need to hear I don't really care what James Dolan has to say. I don't myself, notorious, right? I would like to hear a little bit more from Leon Rose, and I get that. The Knicks media policy, you can get that down, Jay. The Knicks media policy, it's kind of offensive. You have these exorbitant ticket prices and everything financially and emotionally and time-wise that the Knicks fan devotes to the Knicks fans. Great. We know this. Place is always sold out, always loud. They know the game. They're totally into it. And the general manager never, ever speaks and never provides rationale as to why he did what he did. Well, if the Knicks get bumped this series, and they might, whenever they get bumped short of a championship, which they will. I mean, eventually Leon Rose is going to have to say something, because Leon Rose is going to have to hire a new coach. And at the press conference, even though I'm sure it'll be in-house and they'll be able to manipulate that like they always do, hopefully gets asked a hard question. Hey, you did the move that you made for Mikal Bridges. You gave up 5 first-round picks. He's a stiff. He's soft. He's inconsistent. He's not the guy. He played last night in 21 minutes. See, I'm getting revved up by the Knicks again. They moved on from them. But 21 minutes, it is hard. If you tried to have a negative 26 in 21 minutes, that is not easy. If you play 35, it's still hard, but at least it's more justifiable. That happens somewhat commonplace in the NBA. Negative 26, a plus minus in 21 minutes, no points. Dude, you're a starter on a team that's supposed to get to a championship. So, yeah, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I know that Leon never speaks, and it does bother me, but I stopped banging the drum on that because, it's wasted energy, And up until now, when they lose, if they lose, I'll keep the door slightly ajar. I don't want to be totally negative, but if and when they get knocked out of the playoffs here, that will be the time where he will need to say something of substance and give us his clear direction and who the new coach will be and why the process of hiring Mike Brown was what it was and all the other stuff. I mean, eventually it's going to come to roost, right? All right, who do we have up on the phones there, J-Rod? What do we got there, pal?
We got our friend John from Fort Hood, Texas first.
What up, John? John is on the show. What's going on, John?
Hey, what's going on, BT? How you doing today?
I'm good, brother. What's cooking?
Not much. Hey, I see you're getting yourself hyped up on the Jets already.
Yeah. This time it's a little justified, though. They actually have some real weapons here.
Yeah, they picked up some pieces. We'll see how they do.
Yeah.
Hey, but so in terms of the draft, going in, I really felt like the Giants were in a no-lose situation with the 5th and the 10th pick. I was expecting them to pick up either Styles or Downs at 5 because that's what we had been hearing for months, right?
Yep.
Definitely not mad at the Reese pick. I just hope that he works out. Downs was the sexier pick, but if Reese and Maluga work out, definitely beats up the line and it protects Dart and improves the running game.
Yep.
My issue with last night is I don't understand why Neighbors doesn't have the awareness to keep his thoughts to himself.
Don't know.
And he feels the need to go online and verbalize how he's not happy with the picks and he feels like they should have replaced Dexter with somebody else. And it's just bro, you're 22 years old. Nobody cares about your opinion. You need to be worried about getting healthy for week 1 and helping this team win football games. Now coaches and players are going to have to answer questions because you have no awareness.
It's a bad look. Now, by the way, just for those who maybe don't know what happened, and to be fair to Malik Neighbors, you can certainly be rehabbing. It's not like just because you went and you gave a little draft analysis doesn't mean he's not locked in and trying to get healthy. So both things could be true, but it's a bad look. You've been around 1 year. You're a young player who had last year cut short. So obviously 2 years, but you know what I mean, 1 full year. And I think that it's not that he just popped online and said, flipped over his phone around and said, what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? This is awful. What are we doing? He was part of a show and he was being honest, but that is not what you want to hear from somebody who hasn't won anything in the NFL and is just getting off the ground. Keep those thoughts to yourself. You want to chime in? And a lot of guys do this. Hey, Garrett Wilson, I think, did it last night. Welcome to New York. You want to laud the pick and welcome guys to your team. A lot of guys do that. That's great stuff. That's social media in 2026. For Malik Neighbors to be that definitive and air a gripe that publicly, there was nothing to interpret. He just dumped on the pick. It's a bad look, man. I can promise you Harbaugh is going to talk to him about that. It's a bad look.
Yeah, I agree. Harbaugh needs to get in his ear and just let him know, man, because this goes back to even his rookie year when he was criticizing Dable with when they were losing, and he was saying, "Hey, it's not the quarterback, it's not DJ." He was basically criticizing the offense in his rookie year.
Yep.
So he's definitely a verbal player, but it's somebody's got to talk to him. Hey, man, you got to read the room and understand when you got to keep your mouth shut.
I'm with you. That's a good point there, John. Have a great weekend, man. Shout out, salute to everybody. Fort Hood, obviously. Thank you very much, guys, and men and women out there supporting us and protecting us. I appreciate he's part of the Army out there, as John was telling us. He's now a consistent caller. Listen, I think when you have a losing situation, I think players kind of feel as if they can kind of say whatever they want without a lot of repercussions. I mean, think about like Sauce was popping off a little bit, and Garrett Wilson has had some tweets over nothing like incredibly inflammatory, but the winning franchises, that's generally at a minimum. You just don't see it as much, you don't hear it as much, and John Harbaugh is obviously the head coach of the Giants, but his day-to-day impact has not really fully influenced the building yet because they're just starting to get together now for off-season workouts, and that message will be communicated. And I've got great faith. I think Malik Neighbors is a hell of a player, and I think he's a good young man who wants to win. I think his thoughts are a little misguided. He's certainly entitled to his opinion, but when you express that opinion, you're now kind of coloring outside the lines. And what is your jurisdiction as a player? It's not your job to criticize a move that the organization just did, particularly when there's a new guy in charge and they're trying to reverse this losing culture. So bad look, not the end of the world, but there is a little history where Neighbors does feel as if he's got the freedom to kind of say whatever he wants to say. And I promise you that's going to go away, or he's going to go away before it's all said and done. Who's up next there, J-Rod?
We have got our friend Blind Beard from the Financial District.
All right, checking in. How's the market today, by the way? I have not checked on the market. Is the market popping? What do we got down on Wall Street, Blind Beard? What do we got? Anything good?
Hello?
I have no idea. I don't work in that sector.
Oh, okay.
I don't work in that sector, bro.
I got you. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't work in that sector, man. I work in a call center, so I deal with a lot of crazy calls. That's pretty much what I deal with. Yeah,
I deal with crazy calls too. So
yeah,
we
especially from me.
No, it's all good. What's going on?
No, I'm like as I said last call Monday or whatever I called. I'm a big Met fan, and I went to the game on Tuesday.
Yep.
Tuesday night when they got crushed, and it was $5 Tuesday, so we were hitting it pretty good, and oh man, it was crazy because we got on the train with a bunch of other Twins fans.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh man, we're sorry for your loss and your thing." And I'm like, I was like so pissed off when I saw that crazy post that they made about the dozen losses.
Oh yeah.
And then I was just like, oh man, me and a couple other Mets fans, we were just shitting on the Mets the whole ride back into the city. It was a tough thing. And then Wednesday, I went to work wearing a White Sox hat because I was like, oh man, I gotta try something different. Wearing a White Sox hat finally.
White Sox? Why? What are you in Snoop and Dre's old video? They used to rock I got the chrome to the side of my White Sox cap.
No, I went to Chicago for my brother's bachelor party.
Oh, nice.
And and I just got a White Sox hat when I was out there.
I got you, man.
Yeah,
that's a cool lid. I like it. Yeah, and I also saw. I guess there was a fight at Citi Field with some Mets and Twins fans. And thank you for the call there.
No, it was the security was kicking someone out who was booing the Mets and yelling, F David Stearns and shit like that.
Yeah, no, you can't be doing that. I mean, if you're yelling that, thanks for the call, but I appreciate it. Yeah, you got to go. But Twins fans on the train, Twins fans getting kicked out. How many Twins fans are there at the Mets game? They make it Twins. I mean, yeah, that was a vicious, ruthless tweet. J-Rod, do you still have that somewhere in the deck? I know we put it up the other day.
I probably should, yeah.
If you can find it, pop it up. The Twins, oh, look at this, man. And this is when they won the first game. Give the Mets credit. They came back. They won the next two. Things you could get in a dozen eggs, a dozen roses, a dozen Met losses. My God, that is ruthless here. Yikes. Well, you got a little comeuppance. You lost your next two here. And how about, I mean, even when the Mets win, it's not comfortable. I mean, the Grand Slam and Devin Williams, who's pitching, Brazaban, Devin Williams. I mean, but a win is a win. The real issue here is Lindor's going to be out for a long time. And Mets were pretty transparent about this. I guess I give him credit there. Like Mendoza said right away, And I know they're going to have some other doctors look at the imaging, but the initial look is not favorable. Like they knew right away when they looked at Juan Soto's calf injury, it's basically best case scenario. And Mendoza basically said it's the exact opposite. So when he said he's going to be gone for a while, all right, Mauricio's going to get a look here. Brichette's going to, obviously play a little short here and there, whatever. But that is not good. And you'd have to think if Soto missed 15 games and what Mendoza said the other night is accurate, I mean, is Francisco Lindor going to miss 2 months? I mean, because if it's anything longer, and it's going to be, then Soto, well, now you're going to need a rehab. It seems like if you tell me right now over under on games Lindor's going to miss, just based on what the Mets is saying, I would say I think I'm going to have to double Soto. I'm probably going neighborhood of 30. I mean, that's a lot to ask of a team that's already dug a pretty deep hole. Now, they've won a couple of games without Lindor. I get that. Or at least I know Lindor played half the game the other night, but they're 2-0 with Soto back. But that's rough. They have a bad record, and they got a lot of ground to make up. The Phillies are wrecked too. So, you don't have to worry about them right now either. And it's pretty jumbled National League, as is the American League for the most part. That's rough. I mean, it's been a rough start for the Mets. All right, let me give you this here. We'll get back to the phones in a minute. So, I just keep adding to this, and it's not even my plan, but every time a Yankee starter takes the baseball, it just gets better and better. So right now, the Yankees have the best record in the American League. All right, the Yankees' last 6 starts. By the way, how nice is it? I know the Red Sox are going nowhere. They've got 13 home runs on the year, dead last in baseball. It's crazy how little power they have. My God. But the Yankees' last 6 starts, just the pitchers. Schlittler, this is going back to 6 games ago, 6 innings, no runs, 6 hits, 6 Ks, 2 walks. Stud. Will Warren, 7 innings, 2 runs, 11 Ks, no walks. The best performance so far. Weathers, equally good. 7 1/3, no runs, 8 Ks, a walk. Phenomenal. Luis Hill, game 1 in Boston, really good. Not a lot of strikeouts, but he put it in play. Got into the 7th inning, 6 1/3, no earned runs. Max Fried, game 2 of the series, 8 innings, no runs, phenomenal. 9 Ks, 2 walks. And Schlittler last night, a lot of energy, him going back to Boston, all the nonsense last year, the death threat, social media nonsense. Schlittler, 8 innings, 1 run, 1 earned, 6K, no walks. And right now, not just the American League, right now the Yankees have the number 1 ERA in baseball. They're 5th in quality starts without Cole and Rodon. They're 4th in opposing batting average, and they're 2nd in whip. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you want another dose of good news here. Garrett Cole in the second rehab start last night, threw 52 pitches, went 4 1/3, no walks, 4 strikeouts, and is beginning to ramp it up. So, I mean, there's not much to complain about with the Yankees right now. The pitching has been phenomenal. The offense, nice. I like the approach by Belly, going the other way, a little soft contact. That you love to see that. You put the ball in play, good things happen. And, see what happens with Volpe. Yankees still need another stick, which I think they'll trade for. Dominguez is ripping it up down in the minors. Lombard continues to shred minor league pitching. Again, I know Yankee fans are kind of wired to be pissed off these last X amount of years at Cashman, but right now, right, even Jazz hit a home run last night. Right now, things are pretty good. Although, Jazz, you finally go deep. It's the first one of the year. You do that when you hit in third base. And I'm actually one who defends his swag, his style. I think individuality is great. But would the room? It's kind of like Lindor a couple of games ago, putting on the construction vest and the hat. Yeah, you hit a home run to an 11, 12-game losing streak at that point. Just read the room. Just react to the situation a little bit. Just an ounce of humility, Jazz. You got to do the whole thing in the dugout when you hit in third base. But he finally went yard. So he's only got 49 more to go as he goes for 50-50. All right, who's up next, Jay?
We have got our friend ST from London, UK.
What up, ST? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, BT? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, I got a 2-pronged question. First, we'll go past the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I'm a believer, having watched the Jets for a very, very long time, that the first round is for show and the latter rounds are for dough. So
like golf.
Muji needs – that's right, sir. That's why Muji needs to earn his money. So I guess my first open-ended question to you is, what do you feel the position that the Jets need requires the most attention for depth? And by the way,
Yep.
Glenn, as the head coach and who's calling the defense, is a cornerback. He's secondary. We had no picks last year. He should know better.
Yep.
So whilst we have pressure coming on the quarterback, we need a blanket secondary to do
Yes.
that. Now,
Yes.
I don't want to load that question. It's all you, and then I'll go with my second one.
I got
that.
you. I think the Jets are drafted a cornerback today. They're McCoy. There's a couple of guys who are very promising prospects. There's a safety or two that I thought may have gone late first round that did not. That they'll have access to. But you got Minka back there. You gave him a couple of bucks guaranteed. I think the Jets, I'd be stunned if they don't go corner today. And I believe in round 4, I think they're going to go interior offensive lineman. Now, if they make a trade, and maybe there's also a couple of good, really good interior offensive linemen, maybe they mess around and do that today and maybe make some other trade and then go corner if they read that board and the board falls properly to them. But there's no doubt the point of emphasis right now needs to be a corner, a linebacker that can run, and interior guard play on the O-line. That's my opinion.
Oh, yeah, and I'm feeling that opinion. Thanks a lot. I guess the second, and I'm not promoting degeneracy, but look, people have the nerve to ask me why I drink. It's because of the New York Knicks. So I mean, having watched that, I mean, we should be pummeling the Hawks. I know they had an amazing run the past 2 months of the season.
They were playing well. They were playing very well. Real quick there, I don't mean.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is not like an anomaly. It's not like the Hawks were just kind of petering to the finish line. They made the trade and they went 7-8 to finish the season, or even 9-8 or 11-10. Like the Hawks were playing really well. This is just an extension of who they've been the last month of the season, to be fair.
They found their identity, that's for sure. And they're beating us by 1. I think it's not more or less that they're just absolutely crushing us when they were in the first half, obviously.
Yep.
But I just think we can't get out of our own way. So I guess my second question to you is, can you give me a single scintilla of hope where the New York Knicks progress and I don't have to turn up a bottle this weekend or the week after?
By the way, just the way you say it, I mean, a single scintilla. Can you say that? Single scintilla. Say that again.
Could you give me a single scintilla of hope that we, the New York Knicks, progress?
Can you please provide a modicum of enthusiasm?
Good word,
I love the
good
way you
word.
say it, man. And by the way, I'm guessing you're going to bang back a few pints anyway out there. It's a Friday in London, so I'm sure you have a little bit. But maybe the Knicks could keep you away from the hard stuff. Yeah, thank you for the call. Good luck over there. And I mean, we're getting calls from London. How amazing is this? God bless you, ST. Awesome. As the brand continues to grow. I think that, I mean, the scintilla of hope would be that they've got a lot of good players. I mean, I don't think I need to really overthink this. I could get into like all the schematics and do this and, do the pick and roll more, which, by the way, they actually should. And, well, make this defensive adjustment here and, have the rotation change a little bit, which I also believe. Like, there are basketball things that I could give you, but I think the bottom line, ST, is that Knicks have a lot of good players. I mean, Jalen Brunson's one of the better players in the NBA. Cat's one of the better bigs in the NBA. And OG as a third, option, especially when, I love OG. I mean, if you had 2 OGs instead of OG and Bridges, we wouldn't have these problems here. So my answer to you, short and sweet, is Knicks have a lot of talent. Now, I don't think they've got enough talent to win the championship. I don't think they've got the coach to win the championship. And I'm not even sure they've got the star player, even though we love Jalen, to win the championship with Brunson being your number 1. But at least to get past this round and rally and win 3 games, I mean, that's my answer. 3 of the next 4 games. They got a lot of talent. What do you got next, Jay? Who's up?
We've got our friend Frank from Monroe, New Jersey.
All right. What's going on there, Frank? How are you?
Hey, Brandon. How are you? Can you hear me?
I got you, brother. Yep. What's cooking?
Yeah. Well, night last night. I'm glad you're happy about it.
There we go.
But you touched on something before that I want to talk about, and it's the young kids not knowing what it's like when their teams win around here.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I have a daughter that's 24 years old. She's a diehard Yankee fan. And when Soto came back to the stadium, she said, "Dad, we got to get tickets." We went to that game. the point of this story is on the way back, we were on the D chain. We got off on 42nd Street, walked down the street, and we were at the Garden when the Knicks beat the Celtics.
Oh,
well,
nice.
the scene outside,
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Crazy.
And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that my daughter got to see that.
Yeah.
Because people need, the young fans need to see that. I lived in Vegas for 10 years.
Where'd you live? What part?
I lived in Green Valley.
Oh, I love Green. I lived in Henderson.
Oh yeah. Well, Henderson is Green Valley. My daughter went to Green Valley High School.
Matter of fact, hold on. Green Valley. I believe that was my. I believe Green Valley Road was my exit at the apartment I had.
Yep. Off of 215.
Off of 215 and Legacy Golf Course is right there, right?
Right down the street.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Yeah. So all they had out there was the Running Rebels, and they stunk.
Yes, they did.
Right. So like we're lucky we have 9 pro sports teams around here, and when any one of them is doing well, the city is popping.
Yeah, but hold on now, Frank. Hold on. Yes and no. I mean, when the Islanders, and this is no disrespect, I know we have 9 teams, but like when the Islanders are doing well, the city's not popping. When the Devils are doing, the city's not popping. The city pops hardest when the Knicks are legitimate and the Yankees and the Mets have teams that people think can win the World Series.
Oh, agreed.
Okay.
But still, like, even when the Devils and the Islanders are winning, if the other teams aren't doing good, then everybody's excited. You know what I'm saying? We're lucky to have all of that.
All right.
And I just wanted to share that story with you because the scene outside the Garden and BT, I go back to 73 with Clyde.
You do? Yeah, I didn't see it.
Earl the Pearl and Clyde.
The Busher, Bradley.
I
know.
And then
Phil.
coming up, when you were talking about Riley before. I remember when the Knicks gave up 75 points, we were pissed off, right? With Riley. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, with Pat.
The defense was so
awesome.
good. We had Oakley. If you came down the middle, you were in trouble. Oakley was going to take you up. We don't play basketball like that anymall. You know what I mean?
No, nobody does, to be fair. It's not just the Knicks. The rules don't let you play that way, Frank.
Well, BT, back in the old days, the 7-footers played with their back to the basket.
No, I get that, Frank. What I'm saying is the league, and then thank you for the call, Frank. I appreciate it. Frank is calling a lot. Good job, buddy. Have a great weekend, man. The league doesn't let you play that way. And what you started to say about the 7-footers, I mean, that's the European influence here. Who the heck was I? I was talking about this at one of my children's games recently about the difference between European basketball players and American basketball players, right? And the big difference, many of you know this, and this is not to impugn the integrity of all the AAU teams, because I think that that's patently offensive and inaccurate and unfair. There are a lot of AAU teams that are well-principled and well-coached and their structure. But I think, loosely translated, I think a lot of people kind of look at the AAU circuit and, the money grabs or just running up and down the court and, no real structure, everybody jacking up threes, fast breaks, defense is optional. You play 6 games on a Saturday, you play 5 games on a Sunday, you don't practice. In Europe, and that's kind of true, if you're good and you keep winning. In Europe, it's the exact opposite. In Europe, you practice all week and you play basically once. Like, that's your reward all the time, and all the sweat equity that you put in the jab steps and just, working the pick and roll, going under the screen, going over the screen, coming off a pick and, catching the ball and being ready to shoot, dribble penetration, kick and drive, like the little things that so many of these European players are so well versed in. That is through repetition. That's it. That's one of the reasons why I've got such great respect for Jalen Brunson, because he's almost got a European game, because Jalen Brunson is not coming down the lane and cranking one on anybody. Jalen Brunson is not coming down with a 6'7" Johnson defender on him and just shooting over him because he can't. He'll have it shoved down his throat because he's 4 inches shorter. Jalen Brunson's game, Jalen Brunson's brilliance is predicated on the manipulation of angles and spatial awareness and intelligence, and obviously great shot making and body control, like those fallaways and 1-footers and floaters. So he actually looks like a European. But, I listen, I get it. You get all these bigs who come into professional basketball, and they're just much more comfortable with, facing up. I mean, Was the last time you saw somebody just dump the ball into the post like Patrick would get it or Hakeem would get it or any of these other bigs from back in the day? It doesn't happen. You know, it's over. So, I mean, we can wax poetic about what it used to be, but it doesn't change anything, you know? Who's up next there, Jay? What do we got?
We've got Anthony from Long Island.
All right, let's go out east. What up, Ant? What part of Long Island are you at? Or
I'm in West Islip. West Coast
Nice.
BT.
all right,
Yeah.
is that Boomers West
Yeah,
Islip?
he's East
East.
Islip. We always beat them anyway. So
Oh, whoa! You didn't beat Boomer though. There's no way you guys.
No.
beat Boomer.
I'm a little,
I don't think you guys beat Boomer in anything because I know Boomer was a great pitcher,
He was.
great hitter, and a great basketball player too. So
He
I'm pretty
sure
sure.
was.
Yeah, when Boomer was there, you guys took the L's.
So real quick, BT, one thing, been a fan of you for a long time. I just remember listening to you in 2004, the day before Game 7 of the ALCS.
Oh,
I remember you
geez.
saying to yourself, "Man, I think the Yankees are going to be able to pull this out, but Kevin Brown, I don't know if he's going to do it." And I remember thinking, "Oh God, he might be right. This is
Yeah.
what I think, yeah."
And by the way, hold on, and Javi Vasquez later on that night.
Yes.
as well.
Oh, goodness.
You want to not laugh, but you want to really cry. You referenced that night, so obviously for those who, I mean, I know you know, but for those who don't know, Yanks are up 3-0, kicking the shit out of the Red Sox. They come back, the most epic collapse of all time in baseball. And that night, so that was the night before that you're referencing when I was doing the show.
Correct.
So the next night when they're actually playing the game. Now, what I would do is I would go on after the game and go for like 3-4 hours. Matter of fact, that night, my program director called me up during the commercial, said, "Hey, if you want to go till 6 a.m. and literally hand it off to Mike and Mike in the morning, you could do it." I said, "I'm in." I said, I actually
listened
said,
the whole
"Screw
night.
Mike and Mike, and I'll stay on all day." But he wasn't having that. Anyway, so I would go in. I had two choices. I could sit in my apartment. I lived in Manhattan on the Upper West Side. Sit in my apartment and jot and do my notes like I would do for football Sundays, or go into the studio, get something to eat, put it on the screen, and do my notes there. Now, I would go into the studio because if I did it from home, invariably, I would be on the one train at some point and I might miss something. So I couldn't be having that. Long story short, I actually, where is it? It's in my man cave. Otherwise, I would pull it off the wall now to show you. I had a picture. This is when I'm single, right? I had a picture of Babe Ruth that a longtime friend of mine who I met in Detroit, who I would call my Jewish grandfather, great guy. Anyway, really, his wife took care of me, made soup. Just rest in peace. Love Bob. Great guy, Bobby. And he gave me this black and white Babe Ruth picture that I've always treasured. It's in my man cave now. And I had it hanging in my apartment. And as I'm walking out of my apartment to go to get the one train to get down to 2 Penn Station, where my radio station was, I'm like, I don't feel good about this game, even though I said I felt good the day before. I take it off the wall. I bring it on the one train with me. I'm holding this Babe Ruth. I was 20, whatever that 30. I was out of my freaking mind, especially then. And I'm carrying this on the one train, and I affixed it to the top of the TV in the studio at 1050 ESPN Radio, and we got the living shit drained out of us, man. But I tried. I tried everything that I can do. But yes, so you've been with me for a minute. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, and I listened to that after Game 7. That was yeah. So I was locked in. But I actually have a Knicks question.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. So the whole season, the Knicks are saying, "Hey, we're gonna play it cool with Mitch Robinson. We're gonna give him days off when he's not gonna play back-to-backs. We're gonna start him off the season missing the first 7 games, and then in a pivotal Game 3." He plays 9 minutes, and on the last play of the game where we need a defensive stop, he's got Deuce McBride and the shortest lineup you ever seen, and Mitch Robinson nailed to the bench. Can you make that make sense for me?
No, I think that Mike Brown was awful again last night with no adjustments and a ridiculously dumb rotation, much like he's done this series, and at too many points during the season. Like he's just a mess, and he's been a mess, man. I mean, really, I know that, Anthony, how many times have you heard people say, "Oh, I could win with this team," right? You know how a lot of us, I could win 50. I mean, I kind of believe that I could have won at least 45 with this Knicks team. Don't you? I mean, what the Brunson, go get 30. Hey, Cat, go get 20. Bridges and OG play defense and hit some threes. Hey, Deuce, when you're healthy, come off the bench and take 10 shots and go get 13 points. Mitch, play 20 minutes, get 12 rebounds, 6 offensive, 3 dunks, and when they come to foul you, get rid of the ball. What the hell's so hard about it?
And the East stinks too, so these were easy wins to get.
I don't think it stinks. I think what Knicks fans expected the East to be, they thought it might stink because of the Tatum injury and Halliburton going down, and maybe the Cavs not ready for prime time, and the Magic a little young, and the Hawks not really in consideration at that point. The Heat a mess. The East doesn't stink. I mean, I believe whomever comes out of the Eastern Conference is going to have a chance to win the championship. I'm not going to say Thunder in 4 or Denver in 4. I don't feel, I could be wrong. I think the East is better than you think, and I think it's better than a lot of people think. But ultimately, we'll find out, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, man. Good talking to you. And one more quick thing on the Knicks. I'll make it quick.
You good, man?
So yeah. So another Mike Brown situation I have for me is that when I knew, and I want to ask you what you think about this. I knew when he came in and he said, hey, in my offensive system, the 5 has to sacrifice the most. Don't you think that was an issue from day one when our highest paid player and arguably our best or second best player is the guy who has to sacrifice the most in offense?
It's absolutely idiotic. I mean, yes, I do. That's the short answer. I agree. That's where you've got to make some concessions, and that's where you've got to coach around what you view. Like you can't be that rigid. Thanks for the call, man. I really appreciate. Yeah, man. Thanks for being with me for that long. My God, you're referencing stuff in 04, 03. That's an OG right there. 04, obviously the Red Sox series. Yeah. What do you want me to tell you? I mean, the guy who's got to make the adjustment is the 7th man. He ain't playing that much because we're going to win a championship. And instead of playing 25 minutes on a shitty team, you're going to play 9 minutes on a good team. Like that. That's the adjustment. That's the concession. I'll give you another example. You look at all these Yankee starters, right? I just ran through this before. Schlittler, Warren, Weathers, Heel, Fried, Schlittler again last night. That is 6 straight epic starts. And the Yankees, statistically, from a pitching perspective, are just crushing it right now. Number 1 in ERA and all the other stats I mentioned. But somebody, listen, I don't care if these guys do this for the next 20 games. Somebody's going to the bullpen when Garrett Cole comes back. Like, that's a concession that is worthy of the situation because Garrett Cole's a future Hall of Famer, a Cy Young winner, and he's making $30-something million a year, and it doesn't matter what happens. You could have 7 no-hitters in a row. When Garrett Cole is deemed healthy, Garrett Cole will be in the rotation. Lock, promise, guaranteed. So whether it's Weathers or Heel or even Warren, whatever it might be, concession, you're going to the bullpen because we got a horse coming in that we want and we need. That's not congruent to, having your first or with certain things and certainly your second best offensive player standing at the, in the corner or just standing at, behind the 3-point line, hoping he gets involved, hoping somebody throws him a bone. It really is ridiculous, man. Let's see here. Shane Manier checking in 7058. Full disclosure, my brother-in-law. What's up, bro? Wait, you can't hit me with a super chat, you cheap bastard. He's got to take the cheap way out. Shane Manier, all right? Yeah, he is from Wichita Falls, which is where they are in Texas, about an hour and a half outside of Dallas. Jets going to go get the Wichita Falls linebacker, Jacob Rodriguez, who, as we all know, and Shane, I know you know this, used to be a quarterback. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Jet fans are pining for him. I love him. His story's amazing. He's about as good as a young man and very deeply rooted in faith, got married young, went from quarterback, so he knows the game, hits like a Mack truck. He's a gamer. But and if the Jets get him, I'll be pumped. And whoever gets him, I'm going to say, good move. But Jets need a corner, I believe, more than a linebacker. But maybe they can swing another trade and maybe get 2 guys tonight. I don't know. But, yeah, I love him. Cheap bastard. Come on, man. No super chat, this guy. At Avery Summit is that's the only one I'm going to ask for a super chat from you. Is Geno being stable? Is Geno being stable going to make it impossible for the Jets to get the quarterback they want in 2027, or the 3 picks they have will enable them to move up wherever they want? At Avery Summit. Avery always checks in. Appreciate you, buddy. I've said this for a while. I don't need to expand on it too long. I understand the dilemma. Like if the Jets were, with this offense, it's not completely inconceivable. Now, I'm also bypassing things that worry me, like many aspects of the Jets defense and Aaron Glenn as a head coach. But like if the Jets went 9-8 or 8-9 or even 7-10, you're not in that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 threshold. You're going to have to move up, but they are going to be able to take whatever they want with those 3 first-round picks. And, really, I would say do whatever they want. I'm just trying to pop something up here. That's why I was a little distracted. Hang on a second. Hey, Jay, if I just pop something up here, you can still see me, right?
Yeah. Wait, what are you popping up?
No, just something I want to get. I want to just see.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it was interrupting. I didn't think it was, but I just want to make sure.
You're
All
chilling.
All right. So I'm looking at it this way, right? Let me look at maybe this is a better way to do it. Let me look at the draft from last night. All right. And let me look at all right. So obviously, if you have that 7-8 win season, Avery's point is on point. You're going to have to hurdle a bunch of teams, but solution, you have the draft capital to do it, obviously. But the other thing that ties in, who is even at the top of this draft for 2020? Now, this is a massive projection, but because nobody thought the Raiders would be this bad with Pete Carroll, right? And Geno and Bowers, et cetera, and a good running back. So you never really know. But who do we anticipate being bad and bad enough to be at the top of the draft next year that needs a quarterback? Like, there's two questions. Do the Jets have enough capital to move up? There's no doubt. Everybody knows that. Now, let me project a little bit. Let's say the Raiders stink again. Mendoza gets his head kicked in, even if he's going to be really good. Let's say the Raiders stink, but they're not taking a quarterback. Don't worry about the Raiders. All right, the Jets have the second pick. Don't worry about them. Now, the Cardinals. All right, you got to worry about the Cardinals. The Cardinals would absolutely take a quarterback. The Titans would not. I like Cam Ward. The Giants would not. I love Jackson Dart. The Chiefs obviously moved up for Mansour Delane. Love him. Love Mahomes. He's not taking him. Jaden Daniels. I know he's been a bit banged up. Commanders at 7. They're not taking a quarterback. I know the Saints like Chuck, and I do too. But that's a situation I would say maybe, certainly. I mean, especially if it's Arch Manning and whose dad played for the Saints, that's going to be tough to pass up. So they would not trade with you. You got to circle them. The Browns, I mean, I'm not a big Shedeur Sanders fan, or I'm not a big Shedeur Sanders believer, all right? But who knows? I mean, he was a Pro Bowler this year. And if he's, they'll get their final answer on him. You got to worry about the Browns taking a quarterback. Giants had another pick. Forget about them. Dallas would not take a quarterback that high, not with Dak. Miami just gave money, so they're not doing that. The Rams have Stafford and just drafted Ty Simpson. The Ravens have Lamar. I mean, the Bucs love Mayfield, and they'll be nowhere near, and they should. Like, he's not going to win a championship with Baker, but he's a stud. He's tough. He's a leader. He's good. Great pick with Reuben Bain last night. They're not going to be in a position to get a quarterback, nor would they take one if they are. Same with the Lions. They're not doing it. Vikings could. Yeah, Vikings could, even though they just did it a couple of years ago with McCarthy. I think the Panthers are more and more satisfied with Bryce Young. And then they get into, the Steelers obviously could if they had a bad year and they move up. So I think that's part of the calculus as well. All right. I just wanted to throw that out there for you. Next call, Jay. What do you have here? We a couple more, start wrapping things up.
Got Friday. Matt from Tampa.
Matty from Tampa. Is he a fan of the Reuben Bain pick? I don't even know if he's a Bucs fan. What's up, Matt?
No. How you doing, guys? Thank you for taking my call. Yep. Big fan. Been watching you since the Wheelhouse. Love all your takes.
The Wheezy.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, you know about the Wheezy. You see that little Emmy behind me? That's from SNY.
I was wondering where that was from. I didn't know if it was from your radio station or like that's
no.
Awesome,
The Emmys,
fantastic.
The Emmys for TV. No, what I got from my radio station was a pink slip. That's hanging on the other trophy case.
Gotcha. I wish you all the best. Good. I hope this takes off, and I hope this time next year you're on Spotify making some cash and enjoying life. So
we are. I appreciate that. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple. Not making a lot of cash off it yet, but we are. Download away. So if you can't watch the video version, obviously Spotify, Apple, downloadable. It's cranking out every day. Go get it. What's going on, buddy? How are you, Matt?
I'm doing great. So quick, 2 questions. One's for No Rules Friday.
Like it.
So I know we picked up on some great players, and Glenn needs to win and to keep his job. But how do you see us winning enough games for him to keep a job, keeping the team going in the right direction, but also, like you were just taking on it, really getting a good quarterback for next year? Because, I know we have assets, but, you also need that play or that team to, dance with you.
Yep, that's true.
And
that's true.
If that quarterback isn't there for us and we can't get it, what do you see what do you see the plan for getting maybe a trade, or
Yep.
are we pretty much screwed if that's the case?
No,
And then for the
no.
ahead.
I don't, Matt. I don't mean to interrupt you there. I don't think the Jets are screwed with anything because number one, at least on paper, they're entering 2026 with a competent starting quarterback, something they haven't had for a long time. Number one, so they're not screwed there. Number two, next year's a great quarterback draft. The Jets absolutely control the draft board. Not screwed there. And even if Geno, let's say you get more Raiders Geno than Seattle Geno, right? Which I don't think you will, but just say if you do, and let's say that the Jets are at a spot because Glenn wins just enough to keep his job and they can't move up because the Browns want a quarterback or the Vikings or the Cardinals, right? And they won't make a trade with you. Number one, there's more than one potentially great quarterback, number one. But number two or number three, now you've got to look around the rest of the NFL. And if things go the way I think they're going to go offensively from a cohesion point of and a personnel point of view, well, now you might be able to entice another veteran to say, get me out of a situation like Joe Burrow. I mean, I know that that's easy radio or easy content. Trade for Joe Burrow. But, if they lose again and the Jets show some signs and some promise, Joe Burrow seems to like the spotlight, and Joe Burrow is no dummy. I mean, you look at this Jets offensive personnel, it's pretty damn. Now, he's got good offensive personnel as well in Cincy. It's the defense that stinks. But I think that there's a multitude of options and opportunities for the Jets to get their quarterback eventually. I don't think they're screwed at all.
Okay, cool. And for my No Rules Friday, I think about this a lot as this is my top what if in sports as a Yankee fan. I don't know if this is yours. You could tell me what yours is, but if you can answer this one, how often, because I don't know how, if you've ever taken this take on the radio, how often do you think about the 94 Yankees, 70 and 43, Jimmy Key, Paul O'Neill.
Oh, yeah.
Don
Wade
Mattingly,
Boggs. Yeah, Donnie. Bernie.
Yep. Yeah, that was his last really good chance at postseason and really doing something.
Well, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. 95 was because he hit 417 against Seattle. They just lost 3 games straight. But I got you. Now, listen, I mean, come on. I'm in my early 50s. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm busy. I'm not waking up thinking about the 94 Yankees. I'd be lying to you if I said that. But I do whenever I talk about the Yankees and it becomes a part of the conversation. It's always triggered by the fact that the Yankees were undeniably the best team in the American League, and the Expos were a great team in the NL. And that very well might have been Don's best chance to get to the World Series. I think more about. Thanks for the call there, Matty. Appreciate you checking in.
Thank you.
You got it, man. I think more about. I'm looking at Mattingly's jersey that I have framed that I've got to find the new spot for. Probably bring it back to the man cave. If you remember, if you were here early for the shows, it was behind me. I got to get back in the man cave, but. The Mattingly thing, like when I think about my youth, for sure, when I think about my early inspirations as a player, how I wanted to comport myself as a player. He was no frills, no low maintenance. I mean, I only wish I could have been as good as him, obviously, but like those other characteristics that I could try to emulate, being a hard worker. I picked a great childhood hero. I mean, I absolutely love the guy. And to this day, I will still, every once in a while, slap it on YouTube, Donnie baseball highlights. I just can't get enough. And I've seen every single one, grand slams, upper deck shots when Yankee Stadium was empty, off the Red Sox, or, catching pop-ups down the right field line at Old Tiger Stadium where he's basically in right field, or making a similar play and stopping on a dime and throwing a one-hopper to the plate, nailing somebody tagging up. I can still see him making plays in left field and winning the batting title in '84 with a 5-hopper against the Tigers, where we hit 343 and Dave Winfield finished second. I mean, I love the guy. Listen, the best compliment that I could give any athlete is that, of course I wanted to be Don Mattingly. We all have those dreams when we're kids, but I actually patterned my, even the way I would throw the ball, it sounds insane. Even the way I would throw the ball around the infield as a first baseman, he would throw it off 1 foot, kind of fire it to shortstop, and he would do something with his glove. He would always kind of flip his glove after a play, and I would do the same thing. I would always wear the eye black, I would do that little shoulder thing, not quite the same swing, but I would give you a little shoulder flap. It's my idol, man. I mean, Francesa had Mantle, and that was my guy. So, but I don't think about I think more about probably 95 because of the way they lost and how. I went to those games. I was at every playoff game at home that year for Mattingly. There's no way I was going to miss his playoff game. Matter of fact, I remember going to my college coach and saying, "Hey, Skip," and it was during the fall season, and I'm like, "Can we, can we end practice early or can we not have practice?" I forget what it was. A couple of us have Yankee tickets. We're going to watch Donnie. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And then we just got in the car and zipped down and just went nuts. And yeah, I mean, when he went yard, it was absolutely bonkers. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I revere the guy. He's everything that's right about baseball, humble. And when he was healthy, he was Stan Musial. There's no other way to put it. He was my generation Stan Musial. There's nobody that can convince me that Stan Musial was better than Mattingly in his prime. You could try. It's not having it. J-Rod, what do you have on the old agenda tonight there, buddy? What do we got going on?
Tonight? What's up? I think me and my boy are getting some drinks. So we'll see what's up. Other than that, though, nothing much. I mean, yeah, get some drinks, have a good night. Just have a good Friday. Oh, wait, what the hell am I saying? What the hell am I saying?
Hey, you got a basketball game maybe to watch tonight?
Yeah.
Come on, Jay.
What am I forgot. I forgot where I was for a second. I forgot.
Oh, man, it's all right. You recovered.
Let me get into character here. Come on now.
Character.
Come on now. No, I mean, I absolutely cannot wait for that Celtics Sixers game. That's going to be so hype. So yeah, very excited for that. Excited for a good weekend ahead. I mean, tomorrow, let's get lit, get litty, go to a concert, have some fun.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's going to rain all day tomorrow. Going to rain all day.
No.
All day and all night, which means the entire baseball tournament will be wiped out. Matter of fact, tomorrow we were scheduled to have this is on the rec level, right? We do a nice parade and the kids walk around and stuff. Yeah, the older the kids get, the less interested they are in doing it. But it's still a kick because I coach my daughter's softball team.
Of course.
We won last night. And everybody makes a sign, and you walk past the fire department. It's cool, and they have music, and they have a DJ, and they have like bagels and coffee and donuts. But they moved it up to tonight because tomorrow's going to it's going to literally rain all day and all night. So tonight, and I'm going to he's got his team too. I'm going to walk with her team. So I've got that tonight.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll do that, and then I was looking forward to watching him and his boys play baseball tomorrow. But we're getting no baseball. And then obviously we got some action on Sunday, a lot of NBA, NFL draft tonight. You just never know with Muji. Like, you can't check out on the Jets at all. Like, I got so involved in the Knicks stuff, really, to be totally honest with you guys. I didn't find out about the Cooper pick until 15 minutes after it because I was watching the Knicks post game on MSG. I was breathing fire after that. And I kind of checked out of the draft a little bit. Once obviously the Jets made their pick at 16, and then I'm like, all right, I'll go back and forth. And then I forgot to toggle back because, obviously it was on Amazon, and then you have the different outlets, the stream, and then back to conventional TV. Then I went upstairs. I'm like, let me put on MSG with my guy Han and Wally and everybody. And I watched that. Mike Brown's pathetic press conference. His press conference was embarrassing last night. He's like, yeah, I told everybody it's a 7-game series and that, a lot of champions have, struggled with that.
Like,
I'm not saying we're going to win the championship. He actually says, he's like, I'm not saying we're going to win the championship. Dude, how about you say nothing? How about you zip it? How about you be quiet?
Dude,
how about you just say, you know what? We got to play better. We got to play better. Like, how last night would have been a good night, but he just doesn't have this juice, and it's not his personality. The way they got their asses handed to him in the first half and the way they melted from an execution point of view late, last night would have been especially coming off a loss in game 2 at home. Last night's the perfect night to have this demeanor. You know what, Jay? Why don't I'm going to be Mike Brown here. All right. So you asked me a question about, your thoughts, coach, on game 3, however you want to frame it. I'm Mike Brown. Post game, Knicks lose again.
So Mike Brown,
Joe.
Joe Smith from the Athletic here.
What's up, Joe?
What are your thoughts on the end of that game right there? Just the game in total, the scope for the rest of the series.
Honestly, Joe, my thoughts are we got to be a lot tougher. We got to be a lot tougher. When you wear that Knick uniform with those colors and the history of this franchise, it's always been rooted in toughness. And I see a lot of guys right now going in different directions. So I'll be honest, Joe, it doesn't matter what my interpretation of the game was. If we don't get our heads out of our asses, we're losing. All right? And understand this. This is all about a championship. We're not trying to go through the side door. We have built what I believe is a championship team. And I can only do so much. Those guys in that room, they better wake up because there's too many guys on that in that room right now who are okay with the way that this series is going. That's not how champions are built. They better look themselves, and I got to be better as well. Be fair, I got to be better as well, and I will be. But when we take the floor game 4, if we take the floor the same way, we will lose again. Just because we won 50 whatever games, there's no assurances here. The Knicks are entitled to nothing. The Knicks really are entitled to play at least 2 more games. That's all we're entitled, given the schedule and given where we are. So it's go time. It is time to wake up, and it is time to start playing Knick basketball. Because what I watched tonight, I don't know what the hell that was.
Bang.
And then you walk away.
Mic drop.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm fired up right now from that. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's
You got to ham it
go.
up a little bit for the cameras, J-Rod. Let everybody know you're serious, you know?
Yo, I
Maybe
love
take a stat sheet and kind of fling it, you know? Got to do something, Jay.
Dude, that was a great clip right there.
Yeah.
Wait, we got Johnny.
Not quite unkillable. What do I have? What?
He went J-Rod. You need a drop when BT starts reminiscing.
I agree.
What do you think would be like a good song for that? Something that still respectful of you and your time and of the floor, but that has a little comedic bite to it.
Yeah. I don't even think that it's like a song. I think it's just something like back in the day. Like I don't know, something that just lets everybody know. And I think we have to have something for a short story made long by BT.
Yes.
Like, we got to start throwing those drops in there, buddy. Let's go. That's on you. You're the creative genius. You're the engine behind the show. I'm just the talent on the air. The other stuff, I don't do that. That's you. Thanks for taking my call. One last one. How much better is your son at baseball than you were at his age? Matthew Fanador. I just want to see that one. He gave a little super chat there. Matthew Fanador, 3048. How much? You're welcome. How much better is he than when I was at my age, or when I was at his age? How much better is he? He's without question better. I think what he's got to learn is he's got to learn to deal with failure better, because baseball is going to bring a lot of it. Incredibly intense athlete, which I love. Incredibly smart athlete, which I love, and talented, just better than me. Also a different kind of player. I played shortstop up until I was about 13, but he could be there. He could be a shortstop his entire baseball life. Like I just didn't have the quickness. I didn't have that stuff, right? I think I had a slightly better arm at this age. I was gonna say I had more power, but he's starting to put a couple of balls over the fence a little bit. Definitely a superior athlete. I mean, whether it's the basketball court or the football field. He's just better. Now the difference, and my dad says the same thing too. I remember asking my dad like last year, I'm like, hey, where was I? He's like, not even close. But the whole world's changed because there's more sophisticated training. So I think a lot, even though I played Division I, and I know for sure he is without a doubt better than me. And I want him to be, just like I want my daughter to be better and more successful at everything. That's what you want as a dad. If you're a dad and you're hoping that you're better than your son as an athlete or your daughter, you're a loser. I mean, you think the exact opposite. I want them, and I love Marist. Marist is a great school. I want them to aspire for Ivy Leagues if that's in their future. I played mid-major Division I baseball. Aspire to play in the SEC. Dream, But it's funny watching them play, man. It really is. I'll give you an example, right? So the other night he's playing a game, and he asked me about 2-3 weeks ago, J-Rod. He's like, Dad, I want to start getting up early in the morning.
Okay.
Now he's got like a hitting coach where he once a week, and and a pitching coach once a week. And, he still does that even with all these games. But, and he had like a strength training guy he was going to twice a week. It was great, Bobby. But we had to dial that back because of the season. Anyway, he's locked in, right? But he took it to another level. And hey, you're old enough, man. You just turned 11. If you want to be great, you got to go get it yourself. I put the ball in your hands. I taught you how to catch. I taught you how to do some stuff. Now it's on you. All right. Put you in a good path, and God gave you good talents. Go do what you're going to do. And the other night, this I'll tell you where I say he's got to learn how to deal with the failure stuff. And I think a lot of parents go through this, right? So we're playing a game, and his first at bat, he's a righty hitter. He hits a one hop off the right field fence. Now it's rec baseball, but this is rec, so I'm not making more of it than it is. But it's things that we've worked on, which is the point. One hop, laser off the right field fence, double. Next at bat, line drive up the middle, one hop to the center fielder, right through the box. Next at bat, pulled his hands in like a 1 or 2 really hard hit. It was in the outfield. Third baseman had no chance. Base hit, right? Right field, center field, left field. Everything, when I talk about the Yankees and I talk about batting averages and all these things, K rate, like it's an early extension of what I'm talking about. Like the guys who hit for average are players, I'm not even talking about him now, that can use foul pole to foul pole, hit it where it's pitched, right? So he did it. I was really proud of him. And he was pitched. I wanted to let him get a little work on because he's got to get a feel for his changeup. He just doesn't have it yet. So, and again, it's rec, but the other team has a couple of good hitters. One of them is a couple of whom are his buddies that he plays club ball with. And I called for a changeup, and his buddy hit a rocket off him. And he was so fucking pissed at me that I called the changeup. And he allowed that, to basically usurp all of the good that he did that night. And I'm like, no, that's got to be a learning moment. Like even yesterday, he's like, I don't know why you called the changeup. I'm like, all right, you figure it out then. Because I've been calling pitches since you were 7, and it's worked out pretty well, So he hit your changeup because your changeup sucked because you put it right over the heart of the plate. You're a really good hitter, and he didn't have your A+ fastball that night, so I didn't think you were going to throw it by him. That's why I called it. No, it's oh my God. But no, he's more talented. But what does it mean? I mean, you could be more talented than me, but I tell him, doesn't mean you're going to play D1. You better figure, that's on you. If you want to do it, it's on you. So tonight, this is the second time this day, this week, that I got a knock on our bedroom door at 6:45. Let's go in the basement. Now he wants to hit in the morning, a little medicine ball work, some push-ups, some box jumps.
Dang.
Yeah.
I gotta get on my stuff, bro.
Dude, and I'm so tired.
I can't be getting outworked out here. This is crazy.
If it was to do anything else, like my wife's like, oh, you got to get up early and go to the store. I'd be like, oh God, I'm exhausted. You got to get up and whatever it might be. But when that door knocked, and if my daughter did it as well, I'd feel the same. Oh, you want to go practice? Let's go. Who the hell is blowing me up right now? What's going on here? Jeez, my God Almighty. Who's texting? Oh, a lot of people. All right. I got like 9 texts. Anything good? Let me see. Anything good here? All right. Okay, got a couple there. All right. Yeah. What is this? Okay. A lot of things I got to react to. A couple things on the baseball scene that ironically enough. But hey, have an awesome weekend, everybody. J-Rod, enjoy yourself, buddy. Great week this week. Really good job again. Juggling the phones. He's got it down on lock. So last Friday was the first time we took calls. And I don't know, what did we take, 10 or 12 today? So it is now officially a part of the show, which is phenomenal. Nice cross-section. Not even all domestic calls. Calling from the UK. What else here? One more. Let's take care of them. Let your catcher call the game. Well, yes and no, dude. I mean, they don't get me going on this. I mean, I hear you, Brian, but when, you're 11 years old and the kid who was catching at that moment is more of a shortstop, middle infielder, never really caught before, and doesn't even really know what pitches Cole throws. I'm going to call pitches. But no, obviously eventually daddy's not going to be coaching much more. You get to high school, you get to wherever you go, club ball. I don't call them in club. You got coaches for that. But no. And I don't just call them for him. I call them for the travel team that I coach. I don't coach rec anymore. I coach my daughter's rec. I call because I could read swings. Now, if you don't like the changeup that I called the other day, buddy, then read the swings better and figure it out yourself. I was going to That's it. My wife's like, don't sit behind home plate anymore. I'm like, yeah, okay. When I sit behind home plate and he strikes out the side, it's not a problem. When I'm sitting behind home plate and he throws a flat changeup that gets rocked, it's my fault. Hey, it's like I can't win. It's crazy,
dude. I guess this is just a universal experience, man. My mom with my dad and my brother were like the exact, and he's no shade, but like at that age, at 11, he probably wasn't like a superstar hitting bombs or anything like that. But my dad would be going at this dude the whole game because my brother pitched as well.
Oh, yeah?
So he was just going hard on this kid. And my mom would be like, Bobby, just sit on the bleachers.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom didn't say anything during the games, man. I was just scared shit of my dad. Like and he actually stopped coaching me in baseball very young. And then, as you know, I'm not going to get into it now. He coached me for basketball for a long time, and I was, he didn't mess. He was a great coach, and we were good. And I followed instruction outside the one time I fired the jersey at the wall. I told you that story last week, and he almost ripped my head off. But he didn't really coach me my dad got to a point where in high school and in college, because of where I played, like at Marist, he would be able to drive from Brooklyn to like Monmouth or down to Ryder, or obviously like Wagner, LIU, St. Francis when they had a team in Brooklyn, obviously. Like Iona, like all the local, he'd go to every game and he would just sit in his chair with his newspapers and he'd have a sandwich, in between a doubleheader, bottle of Gatorade, and just watch and not say anything, But everybody's different. All good. So, hey, have an awesome weekend, guys. J-Rod, again, good week here. Like it, subscribe it, get it out there. Let everybody know what's going down. More calls, obviously, next week. A lot of baseball. Let's see if the Mets could turn this little mini 2-game win streak into something real. Yankees are rocking right now. Yankees pitching looks phenomenal. Maybe Jazz. Maybe that's a little foreshadow of things to come. Be locked into the draft again tonight. Maybe Muji's going to cook up a little something different. There's some good corners to be had by a lot of teams out there. So it is an awesome sports weekend. Unfortunately, it's going to be very wet in the Northeast, but enjoy it. And I am back on Monday. Have a great weekend, Unleashed fam. We'll see you. I appreciate you guys. Bye-bye.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon